If anyone in the audience requires a headset for Spanish translation, please raise your hand and a device will be provided to you. Board Member Esquerra-Cueta.
Thank you. Buenas tardes a todos. Solamente para darles a saber si alguien en la audiencia requiere audífonos para traducción al español, por favor levante su mano en cualquier momento y se les va a proveer un dispositivo. Okay.
Good evening. Welcome to the Palm Springs Unified School District regular meeting of the Board of Education. Today is Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. We're so glad that you're here with us tonight, whether joining us in person or watching along on YouTube. Thank you for being part of tonight's meeting. I will now call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Member Jarrell? Member Espericueta?
Here.
Member Girardi? Board Clerk Irvin?
Here.
Board President Cornett?
Here.
And we have Student Board Member Aparicio? Here. And Student Board Member Inting?
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance will now be led by Board Clerk Charlie Irvin. After the pledge, please remain standing for a moment of silence.
Put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence will be observed for Frank Tinney and Louis Hughes. Frank Tinney began his career with Palm Springs Unified School District in 1991 and retired as a district director in 2010, dedicating 19 years of service to the Palm Springs Unified School District. Mr. Tinney also served as the principal of Vista Del Monte. Louis Hughes began his career with Palm Springs Unified School District in 2004 and retired in 2024, dedicating 20 years of service to the Palm Springs Unified School District. You may be seated. Item 5D, our mission statement will be read by John Girardi in English and Simone Kovacs in Spanish.
Thank you. All members of Palm Springs Unified School District are united in our commitment to equity. We create deep, meaningful learning opportunities, build professionalism, engage parents and communities to ensure success for all students. All students graduate with the skills, capacity, and confidence needed to succeed in a rapidly changing world.
Todos los miembros del Distrito Escolar Unificado de Palm Springs estamos unidos en nuestro compromiso con la equidad. Creamos oportunidades de aprendizaje profundas y significativas, fomentamos el profesionalismo e involucramos a los padres y la comunidad para garantizar el éxito de todos los estudiantes. Todos los estudiantes se gradúan con las habilidades, capacidades y confianza necesarias para triunfar en un mundo que cambia rápidamente.
Thank you. Item 5E, our lead acknowledgement will be read by student member Olivia Aparicio.
The Palm Springs Unified School District acknowledges the Cahuilla as the original stewards of the land on which the Palm Springs Unified School District facilities now sit. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work with the indigenous people in this place. We pay our respects to the Cahuilla people past, present, and emerging who have been here since time immemorial.
Thank you. Item 6, report of closed session actions. Clerk Irvin, are there any closed session actions to be reported?
No, President Clerk, there is no closed session actions to report.
Thank you. Item 7, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I moved them. Sorry.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Board consent items number 8, approval of meeting minutes for September 10th, 2026. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
I move for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
2 abstentions and motion, and 3 pass, so the motion passes. Special recognition.
At this time, will the governing board, executive cabinet, and our student board members please join me at the front of the room? Item 9C, the governing board would like to recognize and commend the following organization for the Board of Education's Making a Difference Award. And here to receive the award tonight, Mr. Jarvis Crawford and his team, the James O. Jesse Community Center.
It is a sincere honor and pleasure to recognize Jarvis Crawford and the staff of the James O. Jesse's Desert Highland Unity Center with our Making a Difference Award. The center is a pillar of strength, opportunity, and togetherness in Palm Springs, established in the honor of James O. Jesse, a tireless advocate for youth and community that continues to reflect Mr. Jesse's unwavering commitment to service, empowerment, and unity. Through initiatives like Desert Highland Drill Team and Drum Squad, which provide a platform to develop discipline, creativity, and pride, the Unity Center's activities broaden the horizons for many of our young scholars through youth mentorship, recreational and cultural activities, field trips, and links to community resources. Community Center Jarvis Crawford and his team are carrying the legacy forward with programs that educate, inspire, and connect. They have created a safe and welcoming space where bonds are strengthened, diversity is celebrated, and all are uplifted. From our young kindergartners through our seniors in high school, our future leaders are engaging in programs such as story times, cooking classes, hair braiding, and the Youth Encouragement Program. They receive academic support through tutoring and a computer lab, as well as mentorships. The Unity Center is inspiring ambition and self-belief every day. On behalf of the Board of Education, Administration, families, and most importantly, our scholars, our heartfelt gratitude for all that you do to support student success, the valuable resources you provide in our community, and supporting our vision of lifelong learning starts here. You are truly making a difference. At this time, would you like to say something?
I'm holding my eyes on. If you can't notice, I try not to blink, because once that blink starts, then it's going to come down. We appreciate that the community sees the great things that our community center does. We appreciate the school district for being behind us whenever we ask for assistance with resources. All of you that work with the district or have kids that go to the district, this is one of the districts that I can say is the district in our valley and statewide, because we've made great strides. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Item 9D, the governing board now wishes to recognize and commend the following Palm Springs Unified School District Educators of the Year. Up first, our Principal of the Year from Nellian Kaufman Middle School, Melissa Galato. Tonight, we recognize Melissa Galato as our Principal of the Year. Melissa has dedicated her entire 20-year career in education to Palm Springs Unified School District and the Nellian Kaufman community. She began as a 7th and 8th grade science teacher and ASB advisor, earning both Site and District Teacher of the Year honors in 2009. She later served as assistant principal and has led the school as principal for the last 3 years. Recently named Riverside County's Principal of the Year, Melissa describes her legacy as a school where clarity, connection, and readiness guide every decision and where students leave knowing they are capable, supported, and prepared for what comes next. Director of College and Career Readiness, Dr. Karen Dimmick wrote, Melissa is a leader of vision, integrity, and exceptional instructional expertise who exemplifies the very best of California's school leadership. Melissa, tonight we celebrate your outstanding leadership and the lasting impact you make on your school community. Is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to invite up, acknowledge, or thank?
Of our site and the district. Oh, sorry. I'm truly honored to serve our district and our site, and I'm just super excited about the work that our team is doing, and I'm very grateful for all the support. So thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Up next, our Certificated Administrator of the Year, Raymond Cree Middle School's Assistant Principal, Jody Diaz. Tonight, we recognize Jody Diaz as our Certificated Administrator of the Year. Jody has Jody has devoted her entire 34-year career to the Palm Springs Unified School District. She began as a physical education teacher, serving students in that role for more than 20 years while coaching and mentoring new teachers. She later served as a middle school dean and then as an elementary principal for 7 years before joining Raymond Cree 3 years ago as assistant principal. Raymond Cree Middle School's principal, Mr. Bernie Merez, wrote, Ms. Diaz's commitment to fostering a positive and engaged environment is exceptional. With Jody as an integral part of our leadership team, Raymond Cree Middle School has achieved an upward trend in all measurable outcomes and metrics. Her proactive, results-oriented leadership style and unwavering dedication make her an invaluable asset. Jody, tonight we thank you for your 34 years of leadership and your unwavering commitment to PSUSD scholars, our families, and the community. Is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to invite up or acknowledge or thank? Thank you, Jody. Up next, our Counselor of the Year from Rancho Mirage High School, Jesus Silva. Tonight, we recognize Jesus Silva as our Counselor of the Year. Jesus joined Palm Springs Unified School District as a middle and high school science teacher before becoming a counselor where he supports English learners. As a new counselor during COVID, he checked in regularly with scholars who were not attending remote learning to ensure they were safe and connected them with their teachers. He often visited homes to exchange faulty Chromebooks or hotspots and provided additional emotional support for scholars struggling with motivation or focus. He also helped to develop the school's character recognition program, now in its third year, to strengthen academic and social emotional support for English learners and increase their English proficiency through LPAC test preparation and data-informed goal setting. Rancho Mirage High School principal, Mr. Brian Hendra, wrote, "Since joining Rancho Mirage High School, Mr. Silva has distinguished himself through his deep empathy, commitment to equity, and relentless pursuit of student growth, both academically and personally." Jesus, tonight we celebrate the care and advocacy you bring to our Rancho Mirage High School scholars every day. Is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to invite up, acknowledge, or thank? Please use the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. First off, I lost my mentor back in August of 2024. I wouldn't be a counselor if it wasn't for him. So definitely Dr. Ron Morgan, very much missed. In terms of the educators in my life, there's Mike Steele, my science teacher, who I just clung on to side by side during lunch. He was my best friend during that time where I kind of felt like a little bit of an outsider, a little bit of alone. Likewise, Miss Karen Posh, my third and fourth grade science teacher who taught me to love science so much. And then Larry Rakovics, who was our media production teacher. He just showed me how kindness can really change people. And he was an educator who I never wanted to disappoint. And I just wanted to be so much for that type of person for my students. You can tell I'm a little bit nervous here. And then in terms of like the people who helped me get in this position, of course, Miss Mandy Gonzalez and Dr. Teresa for giving me the opportunity, fresh out of school, not much experience, and gave me the chance to work for students. Our staff, is absolutely amazing. Anytime I have an idea, like, okay, I have this thought where I think we should celebrate students because there are far more things about them, in terms of their GPA, in terms of how fast they run or throw a ball. I just really wanted to show the kids that we see your leadership, we see your kindness, we see your resilience, and it's something to celebrate. And it's been 3 years of that, and every time I see these stories that these teachers share with us, it's amazing, and it really just highlights the greatness within our community. So I thank you, everybody in this room, my community, for just for sending us some great students, being their mentors at home, and our teachers who are their mentors when we have them here on campus. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesus. Up next, we'd like to recognize our Classified Manager of the Year from Fiscal Services, the Director, Tony Carrillo. Tonight, we recognize Tony Carrillo as our Classified Manager of the Year. Tony joined us as an accounting supervisor in 2013 and returned to Palm Springs Unified School District as Director of Fiscal Services in 2022 after serving in that same role at College of the Desert for 3 years. Tony leads with his heart and views leadership as a responsibility to provide personal and professional support to his team. He collaborates with his staff to create annual goals focused on customer service, communication, and developing clear deliverables to school sites and departments. He is also focused on improving systems and has streamlined payroll workflows, accounting procedures, and approval structures, while expanding cross-training so operations run smoothly even when staff members are absent. Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, Mr. Jeff Simmons, wrote, "Tony leads with expertise, ensuring his teams remain compliant, efficient, and well-supported. He welcomes feedback with humility, embraces coaching with a lifelong learner's mindset, and consistently holds himself and his departments to the highest standards. Tony, tonight we honor your integrity and the steady leadership you bring to managing the financial foundation of our district." Is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to invite up, acknowledge, or thank? Thank you, Tony. Up next, we'd like to recognize our Confidential Educator of the Year from Risk Management, our Benefits Specialist, Mrs. Marlene Velasquez. Tonight, we recognize Marlene Velasquez as our Confidential Educator of the Year. Marlene has been a benefits specialist and part of the risk management team for 8 years. She holds an associate's degree from Kaplan College and is expected to complete her bachelor's degree in June of this year. She also participated in the Aspiring Classified Administrators Academy in 2024-2025. Marlene leads with compassion, removes judgment, and assists staff with pleasure and joy. Whenever she's posed with the question, she never answers, "I don't know." Instead, she says, "We'll figure this out together," and reaches out to colleagues in other departments or outside agencies, not stopping until she finds the solution. The Director of Risk Management, Renee Brunel, wrote, "Marlene approaches difficult and sensitive situations with exceptional empathy. Her calm and kind demeanor puts staff at ease, particularly during challenging or emotional moments. She continually seeks to expand her knowledge, pursuing professional development opportunities to deepen her expertise in the benefits field. Her growth, tenacity, and outstanding contributions make her an invaluable asset for the district and the risk management department." Marlene, tonight we celebrate the heart, professionalism, and persistence you bring to Palm Springs Unified School District employees every single day. Is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to join you or acknowledge or thank? Your babies?
I'd like to thank my director, Renee Brunel. I'm sad that she couldn't be here today. She's out on a school business. But I'd like to thank my director for seeing that in me 10 years ago and giving me the opportunity to serve the community in this capacity. I take great pride in being able to serve our employees, our staff, so that they can in turn not have to worry about it and just take care of our students. So I'm grateful for my director, and I'm thankful for a team that it's easy to come to work to every day. That's Jessie Sotelo, Tammy Garcia, Brandon Aponte, and we have Luis and Norman that are with us in our department. So I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful to God for opening up the opportunity for me to be able to serve in this capacity. And of course, my family that loves me and supports me in everything that I do.
Thank you, Marlene. Up next, we'd like to recognize our Site Support Educator of the Year from Student Services, our teacher on special assignment, Sarah Martin. Tonight, we recognize Sarah Martin as our Site Support Educator of the Year. With 21 years in education, Sarah has served as a teacher in grades kindergarten, 4th, 5th, 7th, and 8th. She has also served as Dean of Students at Painted Hills Middle School before taking on her current role 3 years ago. Sarah strives to build positive relationships with teachers, scholars, and the broader community. She works with teachers to provide differentiated behavioral management and interventions that promote student voice, establish clear expectations, and create opportunities for respect and responsibility to flourish. She empowers scholars to take ownership of their learning, manage their behavior, and believe in their potential. Her core belief is that all students can grow academically, socially, and emotionally when supported by caring adults within equitable systems. Executive Director of Student Services, Laura Musel, wrote, "Colleagues frequently share how Sarah's calm demeanor, deep understanding of student behavior, and practical strategies have reignited their confidence and passion for teaching. Her work directly contributes to a more inclusive, restorative, and resilient school culture district-wide." Sarah, tonight we celebrate the compassion and leadership you bring to your work, ensuring that both students and staff feel valued and supported. Is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to invite up, acknowledge, or thank?
I'd like to thank Tammy Hio, my supervisor, for nominating me for this award, and all of the Gen Ed Behavior Support team. All of our team members are amazing. Student Services, Laura Musel, Lisa Todd, thank you guys so much for your support, and the superintendent, cabinet, and the board, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. Up next, we'd like to recognize our Classified Educator of the Year from Della Lindley Elementary School, Office Specialist Paulina Ochoa. Tonight, we recognize our Classified Educator of the Year, Paulina Ochoa. Paulina has been with Palm Springs Unified School District for 23 years. She is the first point of contact for scholars and family members coming into the office and provides parents with the personalized time and attention needed to assist with questions or concerns. She maintains open and clear communication with families to build a strong bond between the school and parents and creates a warm and welcoming environment for all scholars. Della Lindley Elementary School Principal Mandy Gonzalez wrote, "Paulina is a dedicated, hardworking professional who brings heart and dedication to everything she does." Assistant Principal Ricardo Flores added, "Her confidence in her abilities is paralleled only by her incredibly positive attitude and magnetic personality." Paulina, tonight we celebrate the care, connection, and welcoming spirit you bring to your school community each day. Is there anyone in the audience who you'd like to acknowledge or thank or bring up?
I wanna I wanna thank my family. The kids are here. Thank you, boys, for all the support. And I also want to thank my principal, Mandy Gonzalez, who's been amazing, and Mr. Flores, our assistant principal. That without their support, I don't think I would have been able to be here today. Thank you so much. Oh,
Thank you, Paulina. At this time, will Mr. Faust please join the Board of Education and Executive Cabinet at the front of the room? The Governing Board would like to recognize and commend Bubbling Wells Elementary School scholars and parents who are unable to join us this evening. As follows: Ernesto Lopez Arroyo, Andre Torres, Adrian Castañeda Loya, Stacy Leclerc, Autumn Ariza. Mr. Faust, would you like to share a few words with the audience about your scholars and your parents?
I would. We are very fortunate, and so I'm very excited. And it is unfortunate they were unable to join us. We did celebrate them a little bit earlier today. The wonderful thing is, when talking about parents, they are a crucial part of our PTA, and so our parents are a crucial part of helping our school be a success. And so I'm very grateful to them. They kind of hold us together, and very proud to be on this leadership team. Students, I have definitely, again, just want to thank them for the work that they do, the hard work they put in, and just say thank you.
And this concludes our special recognitions. Thank you.
We'll move on to item 10. Can I get a motion to approve the following employment agreement? Employment agreement with Mr. Ricardo Areza, Coordinator of English Language Learners Programs, salary schedule 223, column 4, step 21, effective date to be determined. Can I get a motion?
So,
Can I get a second?
second.
Are there any questions?
I think Clayton has something.
Clayton has a few words to say. Yes, I know that. I was going to go there.
She's looking at me. Thank you, Board
Yes.
President and esteemed colleagues. I'd like to pleased to make the recommendation of the board for Dr. Ricardo Araiza for the coordinator of EL programs. And if Dr. Araiza would join me up here, please. And while he's coming up, I'd like to say a couple words about him. Yeah, you can clap for him. Go ahead. A little bit of background. Dr. Araiza earned his Bachelor of Arts in Diversified Liberal Arts from the University of San Diego. He earned a Master's of Arts in Educational Leadership from San Diego State University, and an educational doctorate in organizational leadership for the University of Laverne. Dr. Araiza also earned a school business management certificate from the University of Southern California, as well as a chief business official certification through CASBO. He began his educational career as a bilingual teacher at Pence Elementary in Imperial Beach, California in 1997. Dr. Araiza became an assistant principal at Carr Intermediate School in Santa Ana Unified School District in 2002 and became a principal at Foothill Elementary in Pittsburgh, California in 2009. Dr. Araiza has roughly 19 years of site administrative experience, inclusive of all levels, elementary, middle, and high. He's currently the Director of Multilingual Learners for Conejo Valley Unified School District, a position he's held for the past 5 years. His current supervisor, Mr. Kenny Liu, stated, quote, Dr. Araiza is an outstanding educator, committed to supporting all students. He makes strong connections with parents, and when Dr. Araiza speaks, school leaders listen. He's a wonderful addition to any leadership team. So welcome, Dr. Araiza. Please address the board and feel free to introduce any guests that you have in the audience.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hill. I first want to introduce my wife, Karina, who's in the audience there. Without her, her support has been instrumental for me to be in this position. So I just want to again thank the board for inviting me to this family. I know I heard someone saying, this is a family. So I'm so looking forward to being my second family as I grow in this position. I'm very thankful for the opportunity, and also myself being an English learner. This is something that is dear to my heart, to continue supporting our students who are going through this experience, and also finding those opportunities for them to continue being successful in the school district. So with that, I want to thank the board, the cabinet, and superintendent for allowing me to be part of this family of Palm Springs Unified School District. Thank you.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Aye. Excuse me, motion passed.
Congratulations.
Item 11, public comment. Clerk Irvin, have we received any electronic comments?
We have not received any electronic comments.
In-person comments. All comments are to be directed to the board, to be under 3 minutes, and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. Board members do not respond to public comments. Do we have any members of the public who wish to address the board? If you haven't given me one of these yellow cards, could you please do so at this time? I have 4 of them. Clerk Irvin will be the timekeeper. Our first person is Hosea Mitchell. Sorry.
Before I start, I was just listening to everybody's speeches, and I'd just like to thank Palm Springs Unified School District for keep on moving towards excellence, and it was great to hear all the stories and all the dedication that the staff has for the kids and for this school district. So I'd just like to thank everybody for their continuous commitment to excellence. And then I'll start what I came to talk about. I came to talk about African American studies course at Palm Springs High School, Palm Springs Unified School District. My name is Josiah Mitchell. I'm a part of APAC. I'm also a part of the Palm Springs High School Site Council, and I'm a mentor for King Circle at Palm Springs High School. And I'd like to talk about the importance of AP African American Studies course and its continuance at Palm Springs Unified School District. African American Studies is not an extra at Palm Springs High School, it is an essential. If we are committed to giving students a complete and honest understanding of our nation's past, then African American Studies must be intentional and powerfully taught. Our Palm Springs Unified School District history teachers understand something fundamental. American history is not a single narrative. It is a complex, interconnected story shaped by the contributions, struggles, leaderships, innovations, and resilience of many ethnic groups. African American history is woven in every major chapter of the American experience. When students study the Great Migration, they see how millions of African Americans reshaped cities, labor markets, and political powers across the nation. When they examine the Harlem Renaissance, they understand how Black writers, artists, and musicians redefined American culture. When they learn about African Americans in World War II, they recognize how service abroad and sacrifice at home fueled economic growth and ignited the fight for equality. The civil rights movement and post-civil rights era show students how to organize activism, courage, and civic engagement, transform laws, and expanded democracy. And when we address contemporary issues, students learn to connect history to the world they are living in right now. African American studies empower students with truth, context, and critical thinking. It strengthens civic understanding, it challenges incomplete narratives, and it builds empathy. And most importantly, it ensures that every student sees that African American history is not a side story, it is American history. At Palm Springs Unified School, at Palm Springs Unified School District, teaching this history fully and intentionally is not just about meeting standards, it's about preparing informed, thoughtful, and engaging citizens. Thank you.
Our next person up is Jarvis Crawford.
To the superintendent, board, and also our student board members. My name is Jarvis Crawford. You guys know, if you don't know, you do now, February is Black History Month. So we have been celebrating Black History Month not only here in Palm Springs, but throughout the country. And with Black history, we get to learn about all the great things that African Americans have contributed to society. We can look at things that we see every day, from a traffic signal to the golf tee, to even a refrigeration systems, as well as the Super Soaker. You guys know about the Super Soaker. But not only that, we made history in Palm Springs Unified School District. We made history by having the first African-American board member. We made history by having the first African-American superintendent. The African-American population in not only Palm Springs, but in the Valley is low. So to be able to come to a meeting like this, to see someone that looks like me, it's uplifting. And so for our students to be able to go to Palm Springs Unified School District schools and learn about African-American history, and even learn it on an AP level, it is just amazing that we're able to go from here to where we are now. Born and raised in Palm Springs, I went to school here. I didn't have a chance to learn about African-American history. I learned that we were slaves, and then after that, there was a speech that Martin Luther King had, and then after that, that was it. But now there's actually a course where people can learn about U.S. history. Even though the title African-American is in front of it, it is U.S. history. I don't know anything about what happened in Africa because I was born here in America. So my history starts here in America. And if we continue to, let's say, keep it only as an elective and don't bring it to a bigger space that it should be in to make it a part of history, then we're only saying that, hey, it's okay to be an elective, but not okay to be something that is part of the actual history. So I know the board has some tough decisions to make, and I appreciate the decision that you make no matter how it goes, because guess what? We now have African-American history being shared, other than that we were slaves and that Martin Luther King had a dream. So thank you.
Our next speaker is Veronica Juarez.
Okay, Virginia Campos would like to go first.
Let's go first, okay. Virginia Campos, do you want to come up?
Okay. Muy bien. Oh, sí. Ok, usted dígame. ¿Se lo leo en pausas o todo? Ok, perfecto. Okay. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Virginia Campos. Venimos a pedirle de la manera más respetuosa
que volteen a ver el problema tan más desagradable por el que está pasando mi hijo, estudiante de la escuela Nelly Kaufman Middle School, sexto grado.
Good afternoon. My name is Virginia Campos, and we are here to request, as respectfully as we can, for you to look at the problem that is so unpleasant that my son is going through, who is a student of Nelly Kaufman Middle School in the 6th grade.
Me estoy viendo en la necesidad de venir a pedir su ayuda, perdón, su ayuda para que la directora Melissa Galatud y la señora Antonia Hunt, coordinadora del título 9, terminen su trabajo, moviendo al agresor abusador de mi hijo.
I am seeing myself in the need to come ask for your help so that Principal Melissa Galatud and Miss Antonia Hunt, who is the coordinator of Title IX, finish their job moving the attacker and the abuser that my son has had.
Ya que sigue cerca de él en por lo menos 2 o 3 clases, ellas quieren hacer ver que no pasa nada, pero estuvo en sus manos y en su poder como directoras responsables de haber quitado los videos y fotografías que ese delincuente le tomó a mi hijo en los baños.
Because he is still close to him in at least 2 or 3 classes. They want to make it look like nothing is happening, but it was within their power as principals and the people responsible to have removed the videos and photographs that criminal took of my child in the bathrooms.
Así lo describen sus propias normas de seguridad, como también describen las consecuencias a la mala conducta de los estudiantes. Le repito, estas dos señoras quieren hacer ver que no pasa nada.
That's how they describe it on their own rules for safety. And they also describe consequences for bad behavior from students. I repeat, these 2 ladies want to make it look like nothing is happening.
Mi hijo está muy afectado. Nosotros como padres no podemos permitir estas malas conductas tan desagradables de otros estudiantes hacia nuestros hijos.
My son is really affected by it. We as parents cannot allow for this bad behavior that is so unpleasant from other students towards our children.
Ya que pueden afectar a su autoestima y académicamente, al ver que los agresores pueden hacer lo que les da su gana, violando normas y reglas, violación a los derechos de la privacidad, hostigamiento, burlas, bullying, etc.
Since it could affect their self-esteem, it could affect them academically, to watch their aggressors be able to do as they please by violating rules and regulations, violating the right to privacy by doing harassment, bullying, mocking, etc.
Y las principales responsables de evitar estas cosas no les den consecuencias, como la señora Melissa Galatud y la señora Antonia Hunt, coordinadora del título 9.
And those who are responsible of preventing these things are not following up with consequences, such as Principal Melissa Galatud and Miss Antonia Hunt, who is the coordinator of Title IX.
Esa es mi petición y por favor voltéenla a ver. Muchas gracias.
This is my request, and please pay attention to it. Thank you very much.
Next is Veronica Juarez.
Buenas tardes a todos.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Mi nombre es Verónica Juárez.
My name is Veronica Juarez.
Soy miembro de la comunidad.
I am a member of the community.
Que no tengo estudiantes en el distrito actualmente.
Even though I don't currently have students in the district.
Sí tuve en el pasado hijos que estudiaron en el distrito.
I did have children in the past who studied in the district.
Y en ese entonces no había tanta tecnología.
And back then, we didn't have so much access to technology.
Actualmente estoy mirando que en base a la tecnología muchos estudiantes están haciendo mal uso de esta tecnología.
Currently, I am seeing that because of this technology, there are many students who are improperly using this technology.
Estoy consciente de las altas estadísticas que hay sobre el bullying en las escuelas y de las muertes de estudiantes por sufrir bullying.
I am aware of the statistics, the high statistics regarding bullying in schools and the deaths of students who are suffering from bullying.
Lo que le pasó al estudiante a Mateo Campos es algo grave y que no se está tomando con seriedad.
What happened to the student Mateo Campos is something serious and it's not being taken seriously.
Él fue grabado en el baño mientras hacía sus necesidades.
He was recorded in the restroom while he was doing his thing, his duty.
El video fue compartido para otros estudiantes. No sabemos si lo grabaron sus partes íntimas y es algo muy grave porque ese video, una vez sale de la persona que lo grabó, puede estar ya redistribuido por diferentes personas, inclusive depredadores sexuales. Es algo muy serio lo que está pasando y es muy impotente como uno como madre que no se tome la seriedad que tiene que este asunto.
He was recorded relieving himself by other students and it was shared. We don't know if he was filmed, his intimate parts were filmed, and once that's already out, other people can have access to it, and it can be distributed by different people, even people who could be sex predators. So it's something very serious that's happening, and as a mother, it's not being taken with enough seriousness.
La prevención del bullying es un esfuerzo de toda la comunidad escolar.
Bullying prevention should be an effort of the entire school community.
Padres, maestros y administradores.
Parents, teachers, and administrators.
Apoyaría mucho prevenir el bullying.
It would really help prevent bullying.
Que las políticas sean claras.
Having clear policies.
Que haya educación.
Having education.
Y apoyar con acciones constantes en las escuelas.
And to provide support with consistent actions in schools.
Para crear entornos más seguros.
To create safer environments.
Inclusivos para todos.
And more inclusive environments for everyone.
Ayudaría mucho la supervisión activa en espacios comunes.
It would help a lot to have active supervision in common spaces.
Aumentar la vigilancia en áreas.
Increase surveillance in areas
donde suele ocurrir bullying.
Where bullying usually occurs.
Patios, pasillos, zonas recreativas y baños.
Such as the patio, the hallways, recreational areas, the restrooms.
Por favor, tomen en serio esto que está pasando. No sé si porque seamos hispanos no se esté tratando con la debida hacer los pasos necesarios para la prevención. Hay evidencias, hay testigos y no se tomó nada de esto en cuenta en el caso del niño Mateo.
Please take this seriously. What happened here? I don't know if it's because we are Hispanic that this is not being handled with the steps that should have been taken in order to address this, because there were witnesses, there were accounts about it, there was evidence about it, and it's not being addressed as it should with regards to this child, Mateo.
Respetuosamente les pido su apoyo.
I respectfully request your support.
Más de cerca este problema tan grave que afecta a nuestros estudiantes y a nuestras escuelas.
And to look more closely at this problem that is affecting our students and our schools.
Thank you. Gracias.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Next up, number 12, our student board members' reports will be presented by Olivia Aparico and Tracy Inting. Up first, we have Olivia from Rancho Mirage High School.
Hello, my name is Olivia Aparicio, and I am the Rancho Mirage High School Student Board Representative. I am proud to share a recap of what our Rattlers have been accomplishing across athletics, activities, and academics. To begin with, this is our February recap. Our sports, Greater Student of the Month, cheer competition, Shakespeare competition, Ophelia, Smart, Cafe Gingerbread competition, the senior parent meeting with ASB, Radium Girls, and Race Academy. To begin with our athletics, our boys tennis team has not yet played a league game, but their program is growing and their team continues to get stronger each week. Our track and field team is also beginning their season, and they have been practicing consistently. We are very proud of our Rattlers for the time, dedication, and hard work they are putting in. Next, our baseball team is competing today at home against Arroyo Valley High School. We are excited to support them as they continue their season. Following, our softball team is on the road today for their first league game against Arroyo Valley High School. We wish them the best of luck this season. Our girls and boys swim team will have their first meet this Thursday against Arroyo Valley High School. Although the team is young, it continues to grow and we are very proud of their dedication and efforts. Finally, our boys golf team is also beginning their season. Their team is strong and very young, and we are excited to see what they accomplish this year. Moving on to our student recognition, we are proud to announce our Greater Student of the Month recipient, Malachi Davis. Malachi holds a 4.8 GPA. He is a varsity boys basketball and track captain and plans to attend UCLA to study mathematics. He truly represents Rattler pride through his leadership in both academics, athletics, and we are incredibly proud of Malachi and his achievements. In student activities, our cheer team recently competed in their first CIF competition, where they placed 12th in their division. We are proud of our Lady Rattlers, and we are so excited to see what comes next. Some pictures. And our theater program. Theater and Performing Arts program has successfully completed their production of Radium Girls. Their upcoming events include the Shakespeare competition, spring show auditions. I've personally had the opportunity to go and watch their Radium Girls performance, and it was an outstanding performance by our Rattlers, and I was very, very proud. Next, I would like to highlight some of our student programs. Ophelia. Ophelia is a women's empowerment scholarship program that encourages young women to pursue higher education and their future careers. Students are paired with mentors who support them through academic journey, and participants may earn scholarships for college. Our SMART program, which stands for Student Mentor and Resource Training, supports our students planning to attend a four-year university, and this program helps guide our Rattlers toward achieving their goals and encouraging them in this very confusing and discouraging time for college. Our Culinary Arts program recently competed in the FCCLA Regional Gingerbread Competition on January 31st at La Quinta High School. Additionally, our senior culinary students were offered job opportunities at the PGA tournament in La Quinta, allowing them to showcase their professional skills. Our Race Academy, the Rattler Automotive Careers Education Program, provides hands-on learning and career preparation in the automotive field. The program combines rigorous academics with real-world experience to prepare students for college or career pathways in the automotive industry. We are proud of the opportunities this program provides to our students. This video is unfortunately too long, so I will not be playing it, but our students do share their voices on how this program has helped them learn a real-world experience with vehicles, and also I had the opportunity to go into the actual garage and I watched them put brake installations and just looking at how to change a tire, and I think it was a really cool opportunity to see. Finally, our seniors, moving on to academics. Our students completed the ASVAB this year, and I'm very proud to announce that one of our students did score a 98, which is one of the highest scores that you can get. Miss Viondi Campos, she's not here today, but we are very proud of her and her accomplishments. Our AP students are currently preparing for the exams that they are going to take in May. Our students are very nervous, but we are very excited to see all their hard work being paid off. Second, our FAFSA workshops are currently in the works of this week. Our counselors will be coming into our seniors' third and fifth periods to discuss FAFSA questions if our seniors are struggling completing the application. So just extra help for our seniors. And lastly, seniors have been consistently receiving their acceptance letters. We are very, very proud of our rattlers as they've been very excited, and just watching their hard work pay off has been a great, awesome experience. And that is it. Thank you.
Olivia, I don't want to put you on the spot. Can I ask a question? I've never heard the term ASVAB. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes, so the ASVAB is a test to basically test your skills in English, math, automotive skills, and I believe science to basically place you in a military job, just to see where you would place, as Air Force is the more advanced and intellectual, and then Marines are the more hands-on, more work kind of area. So it's just to see where our students would place in the military world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Olivia. Next up, we have Tracy.
I didn't know she was on the end.
Tracy's from Palm Springs High School.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you again. My name is Tracy Ted Inting, and February has been a really busy month for Palm Springs High School. And with that in mind, this is my presentation for the month of February. So up on the agenda today, we have 5 areas that summarize this month's activities. We have Black History Month recognition, high school madness event, February student excellence, our Club Rush showcase, and our Seasons of Love showcase. So first up is our Black History Month recognition. And our school recognizes how important the month of February is for Black history and representation. So along with AP African American Studies, our school's Black Student Union has been showcasing different Pan-African leaders and their impact towards society on our Indian News Network. For example, they recently highlighted Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, who is the founder of the first Black-owned hospital in the United States. Mr. Irvin, you might recognize that guy right there. Number 52, but I wanted to bring this video about a section of what BSU means to our amazing students within it.
What do you guys like about BSU?
I like that you get to bond with people that are like you and maybe explore people that aren't necessarily like you and get to learn more history about yourself.
I love how BSU is very diverse. I like how BSU is very inclusive with other people of race. It's not just for Black students. It's also a way for you to learn about our culture without there being restrictions on it or putting sugar over the whole problem. And plus, it's just a fun club for you to get our individual personalities as a person what we go through on a day-to-day basis.
So yeah, that's them. And I talked to Devin myself, and he's so passionate about that club. They have a Spirit Week this week, and they also have a lunchtime rally, and it's just amazing to have that representation for the month of February. Up next is our High School Madness event at the Date Fair. This event took place this month at the Date Festival, and I was really bummed that I was not able to attend this event, but it was a great competition between different high schools in the Valley to show off school spirit. All of our students who went, they were granted free access as long as they had a student ID, and it was a great event for them. I have to say, our dance team did fantastic. They did all the games, they had a performance, and they all came to show their support. They're right there on the picture, and they were just really great to have them there. like I said, I was really bummed that I was not able to attend this, but it was a really great event. Next up is our student excellence for the month of February. And inside and outside of the classroom, our students are showing excellence in every category. As I mentioned before, Black history and representation is so important to our school. With this in mind, many different classes learned about Pan-African leaders and read about experiences that reflected African American history. On the pictures there are a few posters that our students made that represent different Pan-African leaders. Ryan Coogler, Bob Marley, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams himself, just those different posters, and our students are learning about these leaders. Additionally, some of us read in AP Literature classes, they read about the Nickel Boys, and it's a very visceral story about some of the that reflects some of the experiences that African Americans had in the history, and it's just a really great book that we had in our AP Literature classes. Additionally, our students are active in pushing for change in our community. In last month's presentation, I previously mentioned a civic engagement project. It were AP government and civics and econ students, they engage in their communities. To elaborate, some examples are students working on trying to fix our clock, the clock of the big clock tower. They're providing accommodations for credit recovery and improving some general facilities within our school. And that's just an amazing program. Our students are talking to different administrators. They're talking to different people around their community to inspire change within it. And it's just something amazing. Last up, I had our sports that are starting to start, baseball, tennis, swim, and track. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures for them yet, but eventually I will. Next up is a Club Rush video and showcase. This was made by Brent, Junior Jeopardy, Francisco, and it basically captures the energy of what we had at our Club Rush, and I'll play it for you today. Thanks, Brent. So he's one of our film students, and they make those projects every day. They present it to our school in the Indian News Network, and I just wanted to highlight that because they do some really great things there. And if you didn't see on the video, there's a lot of pictures, but so many of our clubs attended this. They had different games. They educated some of our new freshmen about the club to join, and it's really participation, passion, and fun. And I wanted to highlight the Club Rush because we are planning to have a carnival on March 20th, and we want to basically bring the same energy, that same fun, the same have that information to these incoming freshmen who may not know about these different clubs, and it's just a great experience. Next up, last but not least, is our Palm Springs High School Theater Company. They had a Seasons of Love showcase, and on that, tickets ranged from $3 to $6, and we had performances from our dance, our choir, our strings group, and that was a great event. They regularly put on these amazing performances, and these pictures are just really quick snippets of just how great they do, and I wanted to highlight how amazingly they did. And if there aren't any other questions, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Tracy. Next up, number 13A, Educational Service Update, OE10. Dr. Kovacs will introduce Mr. Mark Arnold.
Yes, good evening. Educational Services has a few updates this evening. Our first one will be by Mr. Mark Arnold, our Executive Director of Student Learning. It is an academic progress presentation around our STAR assessment data.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kovacs. Good evening, school board members. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Winter STAR assessment results for data. So just to start with, we've been talking a lot this year about what is PSUSD excellence. So the focus of tonight is down on that bulleted point there, which is focusing on increased ELA and math proficiency. The objectives of this presentation were first, we're going to compare the fall to winter STAR results. We're going to review the STAR data, what the STAR data is telling us, and then we're going to identify short and long-term actions to respond to that data. So just some background information again on the STAR assessment itself. So the Renaissance STAR tests are PSUSD's diagnostic computer adaptive tests that are administered at least 3 times a year for benchmark monitoring purposes. So as a district, we mandate that they're administered in the fall, the winter, and the spring. Many of our sites choose to implement them more often than that, just so they can have more consistent monitoring of student performance. The second bullet point talks about STAR assessments measure performance on end-of-the-year grade level standards, providing educators with insight into how well students are progressing toward mastery of the knowledge and skills expected at their grade level. So that's a key thing. This is measuring students on what they should know at the end of the year. So if I'm a 4th grade student, it's measuring what I should know when I'm finished with my 4th grade year. If I'm a 7th grade student, it's measuring what I should know at the end of my 7th grade year. Then the last bullet point there is talking about STAR assessments utilize a sliding scale score that increases in rigor across benchmark administrations to reflect expected student learning growth. So again, we're measuring end-of-the-year standards. So as the year progresses, it assumes that a student or a scholar is going to know more information at the wintertime than they did at the fall. So if I scored a level 3 on the fall assessment, I would need to show that I made progress toward those end-of-the-year standards to maintain at that level 3. All right, so we're going to start with some of the highlights of the data. So we're going to start basically by looking at our proficiency gains. So that is the students that scored in the level 3 or level 4 meets or exceeds the proficiency standard. So some highlights here in ELA. Agua Caliente with a 5.7% growth. That's a substantial growth, something to be very proud of. Vista Del Monte, a 2% growth. Nellie Kaufman, a 4% growth. And again, this is in proficient and above. Raymond Cree Middle School at 2.9% growth, and Desert Springs High School of 4.4% growth. So that was all ELA. If we look at math, we saw Rio Vista Elementary with a 4.1% growth, Vista Del Monte with a 1.8% growth, and they're the one site that was mentioned in both because they showed significant improvement in both ELA and math. And Painted Hills with a 2.6% growth. All right, so in this slide, we're going to look at the overall results from fall to winter, and we're comparing the 2024-25 school year to our current 25-26 school year. So you can see that we took a decline going from fall to winter in both last year and this year. So basically, we're looking at being pretty static. We're at the same point that we were at last year. Definitely not what we expect to see, want to see, or need to see for our scholars. So we will be going through the data here. I'll be going through all the data, and then we'll be talking about what are the next steps and how are we addressing this, because this is not what we expect to see at this point in time in the year. We're going to talk just a little bit more detail about what each of the grade levels did. So if we start just with elementary, so you can see in elementary and ELA or in reading, we did see an incremental decrease in each of the grade levels. I think the highlight of this data would be if you look at 5th grade, you can see in the bottom band, that level 1 band, we did see significant movement out of that lowest band. So 4.6% of our kids moved out of that lowest band and moved up to a higher band. If we look at it at the secondary level, a little bit brighter picture, you can see 6th grade basically was flatlined. It maintained. We saw a little bit of movement within the top 2 bands. And then you can see we had increases in 7th, 8th, and 11th, slight mild or incremental increases. But I would say in 8th grade, that's a very solid increase, getting a 2.1% increase in the proficient and above standard. And then also, if you looked at the lowest, the level 1, the lowest band, we had 6.6% of our students moving out of that lowest band. That's very positive movement. If we look at our reading results by student groups, you'll see that it kind of aligns with our overall student population. You see some student groups that went up slightly and some student groups that went down slightly, but nothing very substantial. It aligns with what we saw in our overall results. If we progress to math, again, we're comparing last year's results at this time to this year's, and again, we're seeing a similar pattern. We're seeing we had a decrease in both last year and this year, and we're basically sitting where we were at last year. We're a little bit lower. You can see we started the year a little bit lower. We showed a little bit less of a drop, but again, it's not where we need to be for our scholars.
Mark, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I understand fall to winter, that relationship, but does fall to fall tell us anything?
It's a different cohort of kids, so it's kind of hard to measure. I mean, this is showing movement through the course of the year.
Okay.
I will say there is some questions we get some questions from principals about when we're administering that winter assessment, because we take it soon after we return from winter break. We have received feedback about getting it prior to that winter break. Last year, we did put out a survey. And most of the survey came back with maintaining it, but it is, I think, as we move forward, we might need to think about whether we move it, whether we add an additional one, or whether we add additional supplemental things. So, yeah, good question. All right, if we look at the math at the elementary level, you can see we had a 0.7 of an increase in third grade. And again, I would point out that bottom band and 4% growth out of that lowest band is a significant improvement. But then at fourth and fifth grade, you see we saw decreases, incremental decreases, and really in fourth grade, I think that's a pretty substantial decrease of losing 5.6% of our population that was at the proficiency at the fall start of the year. In secondary, again, we're not seeing the result. We're seeing decreases in majority of our grade levels, 6th, 7th, and 11th. We saw a slight increase in 8th grade at 0.4%. You bet.
So with the 6th grade, 7th, and 8th grade, are the tests similar, and have the kids seen that test from 6th grade to 7th and 8th grade? Is it similar, or is it a little bit different?
The format is similar, I would say, but it's different standards that we're addressing. I'll show in a little bit just kind of a slide of just kind of the focus standards of an example of some of the grade levels. It's a similar format, but it's going to be different standards that it's assessing.
And then, so what about the 5th grade also? Because
they're all pretty consistent. I mean, it's a STAR platform. It's fairly consistent in how
I guess what I mean is because at 5th grade, they've kind of been at K, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they're at 5th, so they kind of do they see that same similar test and then so in 6th, 7th, and 8th, you see the same similar test, and so could that kind of be the reason why in 5th grade you see a little bit of an increase, 8th grade you see a little bit of an increase, and 11th grade because they have seen this test? I guess you can say they kind of get comfortable with seeing the test. Would you say that?
There's a possibility that could be playing a factor into it. I mean, it is measuring different standards. I think familiarity with the test is very important. That's part of why we'll talk a little bit later about the interim assessment tests that we can take, because again, we want to make sure that kids are familiar with the test platform, and that's like specifically when we get into the SBAC at the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And again, if we look at the student results, consistent with our overall results, really in all of our student groups, we saw a decrease across the board. Not significant, but there was an incremental decrease. What is the data telling us? So, number one, the results vary by site and standard, and they are not showing a district-wide trend of improvement. Number two, the core instruction is not yet producing consistent, scalable gains across classrooms. Third one, there is some misalignment between priority standards, instructional rigor, and the assessment itself. Number 4, some priority standards assessed on STAR have only recently been taught, or some have not even yet been addressed yet. And number 5, PLCs are still developing and not yet driving district-wide results at a high level.
Mark, may I ask a question?
You bet.
Thank you. For some students that might have challenges with the testing setting, or maybe with their IEP accommodations, is it, do you ever see that tests are reset because there's a flag on the test that said the student went too fast or completed it in too short a time?
I don't think we see it doesn't get flagged, but I do think that's feedback that we get quite often from the teachers, is that it's not across the board, but they certainly feel that some students are going too rapidly to actually apply themselves effectively to that assessment.
But you don't ever reset the test for?
Like, could we reset it?
Yes.
We definitely could reset it. I don't know if we've had to do that in the past, but we could look to do that.
I've known teachers who have asked the district to reset a test because of various reasons.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, we can definitely look at that. Thank you.
May I add something, Mark? Also, when the teachers, I was at a school site where principals were working with their teachers around data analysis and looking at these results, they are able to go in and look at reports to see exactly how much time the students took on a test, whether it was beginning of the year or middle of the year, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. So they are able to pull that and have a conversation around that and maybe work with the students to find out the reasons why they were taking longer or going through the test so quickly.
Thank you, Dr. Kovacs. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the data that we gave to the principals at the principal meeting earlier this month. So the STAR assessment, the winter assessment, had just closed, and we pulled this data together. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about what this one is. So basically here we're looking at all the priority standards for that grade level. So this one you can see is 4th grade that we're looking at. And so when we talk about priority standards, for the purpose of this, we're looking at the CASP blueprint, and we're pulling those standards that are assessed more heavily on the SBAC itself. So that's what these are. And so then basically you can look at each of those standards. I know like the actual, what the actual standard reads is cut off a little bit there. You can see it on the full platform, but you can see there, like in that first standard, where they started at on the fall on that standard, how they progressed at the winter, and then what they're projected to be at in the spring assessment. So that's available for all testing grade levels. We did all the priority standards for all of our testing grade levels, both in ELA and math. Another set of data that we gave them, this is a growth report. So this is an interesting report. So in this, you can see that each of the circles or the bubbles represent a different teacher, okay? So all of our sites got the same data for each of their grade levels or subject areas. So you can see here, if we look at this, the higher they are on this graph, that means the higher that group of students is achieving. The more to the right they are on this graph, that means the more growth that they have shown. So if we look at this, you can see kind of in the middle of that graph, you can see where it says typical growth, and it has 2 lines. That's where we expect to see if the kids are making the typical growth that they should be making, that group of students should fall between those 2 lines. So if I'm looking at this report, I am seeing in the top right-hand corner that a lot of those students are achieving high, but also that group of students has made very good growth. So most of them are slightly exceeding what the actual typical growth pattern is. In the middle, even though they're not quite as high, they're making typical growth, so that's not of a huge concern to me. It might be a lower group of students, but they're making good growth over the course of the school year. And in the bottom, on the bottom left-hand side, that's where I would want to be focusing on, because I have, not only are they low achieving, but they're also are not making the typical growth that they should over the course of the school year. So I'd be wanting to think about what additional supports can I put into that classroom to help get those kids up to being more successful and proficient. Well, this, I think on this one it does represent a school, but on the ones we gave to, because this is just a sample, on the ones we gave to the to the principals. The teachers are identified on all those. Yeah, and when we actually go into the Renaissance platform, you can highlight, you can hover over them and see the teacher names and all those kinds of things. Okay, so what are we going to do to respond to the STAR data in the short term?
Real quickly, just one thing.
Yeah, you bet.
So would you say that that's kind of a grade, a little bit? Would you say that's kind of a grade of how the teacher is performing? Or
I don't want to. I guess I wouldn't want to say that it's great, but I think it's cause of concern. So it could be that there might just be a very struggling group of kids. There might be behavior issues. What can we do in that classroom to really support those kids to allow them to be more successful?
Okay, so it's more of a identification to see where we need to help and get a little bit better more than a grade.
Exactly. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Mark, the parents were sent this in Parent Square or in conferences, or somehow the parents are updated and know this progress report on the STAR? Yes?
They do have access to it, and the principal, but I don't think that's consistent. It might be something we need to look at to make sure. I think that's a good point, that we need to kind of look at making sure the parents are aware of where these kids are performing at.
Thank you.
All right, so in addition to, we do additional assessments, not just the STAR. So we're going to talk about the CASP interim and focus interim assessments. They're built on the same exact blueprint as our summative SBAC assessment. They're focused on a smaller set of targets. They have the same item types, the same formats, including the performance tasks that we see on the SBAC. So at the secondary level, we require these in ELA, math, and science. They're aligned to our district scope and sequence, and that's a key thing. The STAR is very much a dipstick in time. It's not aligned to our curriculum or our scope and sequence. These are, and then our grade levels and our subject area teams analyze those results and plan next steps on our district PLC days. At the elementary level, they either utilize the interim results or the interim assessments, or they have some of their own site-developed assessments. And this is just showing one of the reports kind of comparing, this is 10th grade ELA quarter 2 comparison, kind of where they were at in the winter of 2025 to where they're at currently in the winter of 2026. So responding to the data more long-term as we look at subsequent years. So long-term, we need to really be focusing on systems alignment. First, we need to ensure alignment between the curriculum, the instruction, and the assessment. Second, we need to prioritize targeted intentional actions to strengthen PLC structures and practices to ensure productive collaboration focused on continuous improvement. And third, we need to implement consistent high-quality Tier 1 instruction and timely Tier 2 and 3 supports for those students in need. Our next data review will be on the June 9th board meeting, where we'll come back to review the third benchmark results, reflect again on the growth, and then it will align it to the 2026 CASP predictability.
Will we also see it against what we're projecting now? Will we see the end results to what we're projecting those end results?
Yeah, we definitely will see, yep. Okay. And then when we get the actual CASP results, we'll draw that comparison as well, or that correlation as well. Yep.
When is the spring STAR given?
Sorry?
When is the spring STAR given?
It's given in May. We typically do it after all the SBAC assessments are done, so the kids complete all the state assessments and they come back and we'll complete the STAR assessments.
This is the last test we're going to give then before the CASP.
Yeah.
Last STAR test.
It's the last STAR test, yes. We did talk with the principals about, as I said, the secondary does implement the FIABs, and we really talked about with the elementary principals, especially in math, because a lot of the elementary math priority standards are fraction-based, which we know is a difficult concept for kids, but to really strongly consider, if they weren't already going to do it, to implement the FIAB in fractions so that we can get a better idea of how to support those kids moving forward.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, so we as a district have looked at numbers and we've seen these numbers. Do we have an actual number goal that we're looking to shoot for? Because I know we have all these different matrix and different things. Do we have something that we're looking at saying when we look at these numbers and say negative 1.6, do we have something that we're looking at as a district overall to say this is what we're looking to do by this time? Do we have any tangible, anything that we can?
I don't know if we actually has stated precisely that this is the percentage that we want to get to. We know what we have to do to make movement on the dashboard. But as far as like the percent we want to get proficient, I don't think we clearly set that. We certainly can look to do that.
I guess just thinking, speaking out loud, we come back in here, we see these numbers again. If it still says 1.6, have we planned to reach something besides coming in here with the same numbers and then we come back in here again and then we have the same numbers? Do we have something that we're looking to say, even though we may not hit it, but do we have something where we're saying this is something that we would be interested in hitting, even though if we don't hit it, but it still have some type of a goal?
We want to set that goal high, but I say we also want to have increments to get there, because I think if we look at 3% improvement each year on each assessment, I think that's getting us in the pattern, because that's showing sustainable growth versus if we get a huge spike one year. So I think it's more about a 3%, and we certainly don't want to speak for other people, but in my opinion, I think we're looking at about a 3% growth on a regular basis through each of those assessments so that we get that incremental growth. That shows that the systems that we have in place are actually making the incremental difference to meet students' needs.
I have one more question, Mark, and hopefully I know the answer to this.
Okay.
Those schools we have identified that need additional supports that are not achieving very well and haven't seen any growth, have we started implementing those supports?
Yeah, so you're speaking of the growth chart, the growth report. Yeah, so the growth report, so every site got that for their own site. So then we talked about, think about the personnel that you have on your campus that can go in and support some of those classrooms. So we know we have our literacy coaches, we have our elementary coaches that could go in, we have possibly intervention teachers, but what supports can we go into some of those classrooms where we're seeing a struggle?
I guess my question is, have we done that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I'll add that, Mr. Girardi, at our last principals meeting in February, this information was shared with the principals, and they had an opportunity to actually dive into the data and start identifying what their next steps were going to be to respond.
Mark, another question about the group, the English learner. It's around 6,000 students. I see that they need extra support. What the school district is doing for English learner students? Because they take the same test, huh?
They take the same test. There could be accommodations that they have with that. So again, I think we talked about some of the supports that we're doing for some of our EL learners at the last meeting. But I do think it's a group that we're not seeing the growth that we need to see with that group. So I think it's something that we really need to come back and reflect again. Even though we are putting additional supports, are those supports being effective with those students? And then think about, again, the system alignment. Are there things that we can do differently moving forward?
Real quick. I'm sorry, Sir Jude. Did you want to say something else? I can wait. He's done. It does not have to do with English learners. It has to do with our dual program. So our third graders, for example, do they take the STAR in English and in Spanish?
Yeah.
So that we can compare progress in both learning, in both.
Yeah, they take the STAR in English, and so we actually, I did kind of think about that later, that we could have possibly put that data in here, so that can be something that we put into a Friday report. Might not be ready for this Friday, but we can get it for the next Friday. Yeah, no, I think it's a great question, because I think we are seeing patterns there, so we can definitely include that in a Friday. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to jump in here. Thank you, Mark, for your presentation tonight. I also want to thank Dr. Kovacs as well. There were a couple questions up here that was asked. I want to make sure that I piggyback on as a superintendent as well. And so Mr. Irving talked about targets and moving towards proficiency and knowing what we're after. And that is definitely the direction that we're going down. You heard Mr. Arnold say 3% per year. I'm in agreement with that. And I think over the next few years we can do that. However, from a system standpoint, there are a couple of things that we're working on right now, trying to begin to align our curriculum to the teaching and learning that's going on in the classroom, meaning priority standards, and then how do we assess that? And then with the focus schools that Mr. Girardi talked about, we've identified those schools that need extra support, and we're beginning to differentiate coaching for the principals, which would trickle down to our PLCs. However, that's at a starting point, and these numbers that we see here tonight, we want to make sure that they improve year over year. So my commitment to this district is that those systems will improve and will continue to get better so that when we bring back the STAR results, we'll start to see adjustments and changes and academic improvement for all of our grade levels, all of our scholars, all groups of students. So thank you very much.
I can get my right there. One comment. You said that the core instruction, there's a misalignment with the standards in instruction. And so I guess that's a concern, and for us to be working on as totally in ed services and throughout the district. So that's my comment for that, and I would hope that we're doing something really positive to address that concern, because that is a big concern, and especially with, we can do that, I guess, like you mentioned, Dr. Funches, through our PLCs, but also just district-wide, making sure that our core instruction does align with our standards and looking at what we're actually asking teachers to teach.
Correct. Great point. I think it's the rigor of the instruction. I think we still at times can be more skill-based, which is a lot of what we learned or we did as teachers or students. And I think the important thing is to increase that rigor to show that not only do they know the skill, but they know how to apply that skill in it.
Yes, I agree.
Thank
you. Anything else?
I don't want to prolong this. I just want to make sure I understand this. So at the beginning of the year, they're taking a test on what they're going to be learning that year. So at the beginning, in the fall, we wouldn't expect them to be achieving very high scores.
Correct. Yep.
We want to see them progress throughout the year. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Next up, we have Dr. Cromans will introduce Jim Pfeffer. Dr. Pfeffer?
Yes, Dr. Pfeffer will be providing an update on the LCAP for PSUSD as well as Cielo Vista. Mrs. Perez-Cheek is here in the audience with us, and this is a requirement annually to provide that update.
Good evening, board. Good to see you again. This is our mid-year checkpoint for the LCAP process. As Dr. Kovac alluded to, this is one of the required elements that we need to do every year, is to update the board at the mid-year point regarding progress towards the LCAP. So we'll be sharing both information from Palm Springs Unified and from Cielo Vista Charter as part of this. We do have the full reports that are attached to the board agenda for your review, 38 pages or so on the Palm Springs side, 10 or 15 on the Cielo Vista side, giving you the full rundown of every single action, every single metric to where we know and what progress is being made in all of those areas over the course of the year. I'm not going to go through all 38 pages in this presentation. I am going to just do some highlights, but I'm more than willing to answer questions about any portion that you may have along the way. So to give you a little bit of background and a couple of reminders, this triggered off of Senate Bill 114 back in 2023 that then created this annual requirement for us to make sure that before the end of February every year, we come to you with a mid-year update. In the case of our context, all of the data and all of the information presented is at the close of semester one. So some of the information Mr. Arnold that just presented to you, which has been collected over the last couple weeks, is not included in this report. This report closed prior to that. So we have two different buckets that we need to be utilizing. One is the mid-year update information around any outcomes or any in-progress measures regarding metric progress. The other is an update regarding our actions and some of those things that we're doing within the plan. So within each place, we do that update of our budget at that time. I know you'll be reviewing the second interim report at an upcoming meeting. I believe it's actually our next meeting. So these are draft numbers as part of that process. Again, those numbers will be slightly changed based on that interim report at that time. But this gives you an update as to what those budgetary numbers look like of what's within the LCAP budget overview for parents document for Palm Springs Unified, as well as for Cielo Vista Charter. In both cases, it shows the differences in the funding as it's moved forward. And we can certainly dive into details on that if there are questions. I'm going to spend most of our time in our presentation going through the goals and actions in each one of our three primary areas. Goals 4, 5, and 6, just as a reminder, are equity multiplier goals for those three schools that qualify: Mount San Jacinto High School, Desert Learning Academy, and Julius Corsini Elementary School. Those are not included in our presentation, but they are in the full report if you would like to see some of the updates as to what's going on with those actions. So we'll start out with goal 1, which is all about academics, making sure that we're moving towards student preparedness by the time they're finished high school for college and career opportunities of their choice. We'll highlight a couple of the different metrics involved. Mr. Arnold's already talked to you a little bit about those first two, academic indicators in English language arts and mathematics. We've also highlighting our graduation rate and our UC, CSU, or A to G completion rates, as those are known data points because we will be using the end of last year's data to put into the new LCAP. The LCAP gets approved before those new numbers come out. So we can already show you those points as the graduation rate having improved by 1.2% between the 2024 cohort and the 2025 cohort, and a nice jump in our A to G completion from 47.5% to 52.9%, showing that a lot of those efforts are really having that positive impact. Again, there's a whole set of different metrics within Goal 1. These are just a couple of highlights along the way. We also have a couple spotlight items for our actions, things that help to contribute to those things. We continue to have a large focus on professional development. We're highlighting one of those actions here, where we utilize our professional development to really target the skills necessary for our instructors to be able to move forward and support students, as well as our support staff to be able to further enhance the education of our participating children. Goal 1, Action 5 is the academic side of our multi-tiered systems of support, also known as MTSS. This is where we do our intervention structures that are within the day. Hot topics in there would be our primary literacy intervention, our secondary mathematics intervention. This action is very heavily supplemented by the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant funds as outlined within the plan. A couple other quick highlights. Since we saw that nice A to G bump, we wanted to highlight Action 9 around high school graduation and A to G support, where our additional counselors, our Graduation Alliance, our credit recovery work all help to contribute, and that's now also where our College and Culture Tour lives as part of its moving forward to make sure that students can see those options as accessible. And then one of our great programs that we continue to get hugely positive feedback at the elementary setting is that extended learning piece that involves our STEAM programs, our PE teachers, our music teachers, having that fully credentialed staff in those areas to help support students in those settings. So those are just a couple of highlights of what exists within Goal 1.
A quick question for you.
Please.
So Jim, did this college and career readiness move from a different pot of funds?
College Career Readiness Tour, the funds did not move, but it moved its action location. So it had been existing for the first go-round within, it was not in the diversity and racial equity bucket. It was in a separate, I believe it was actually tied to our CTE bucket, and we shifted it over to the graduation and A to G completion because really the intent is to motivate students to make sure that they're prepared for heading to college. It more adequately fit in that action.
So would you say to give it a little bit more of a life here in the district?
Yeah, a little bit wider of a scope. Yeah, a little bit more of a focus point, and really help to align that action to really what that outcome is. So when we talk about Action 9, we're looking at things specifically like graduation rate. Are we prepared for our UCs and CSU entry, which is what that A to G support piece is really tied to. The metrics to use to measure the outcome of that particular action better fit in this particular action, so it was moved after last year.
Thank you.
Sure. Goal 2 is about parent and community engagement. We have a number of wonderful opportunities across the district for those items. We measure that in a variety of different ways. Some of these are actively going, so you've got 3 examples of to be determined measures here at the midpoint, because our survey windows are currently open, which gives me the opportunity to plug everybody on please taking the time to fill out the panorama survey over the next few weeks, because those directly feed into our parent participation pieces around how do they feel about being connected to their schools? How do they feel about student safety? And provides us all of that information along the way. Also pleased to say we have one more additional PTA, PTO, and PTG added on this year, so we're back up to 12 active groups across the district, another example of one of those measures. Other items that we look at within Goal 2 include things like participation in our family center programs, which we monitor closely. Pleased to say we have over 1,000 unique interactions with family center events this year. Then if we add the repeat visitors, we get over 2,000 very quickly, which is wonderful. So a lot of good interactions going on there. And because of that, our actions within Goal 2, it's our small but mighty goal. But our parent center and family center staff at the top end really doing some great work on extension work. Our communications team also making sure that we get that outreach into the community. And then our work within the diversity and racial equity realm in relation to our equity conference, conscious education work, and continuing to keep that as a forefront focus within the district. Continue to be actions along the way.
Where would the parents find that those surveys? Would those surveys be available through Parent Square, or how would they be available for the parents to take that survey?
The panorama survey, it gets
Yes.
distributed a number of different ways. We do social media pushes. It does go out through Parent Square. The school sites also send out messaging. So we do some centralized posting as well as the schools. Each school has a survey coordinator who's also responsible for helping to push and advocate. We also base the window around conferences. So we started at the end of January and work through the end of that elementary conference week and the middle school conference week at the beginning of March. So we have computer stations available at the school sites during conferences where folks can go in and fill it out then if they haven't gotten to it quite yet. Also at our parent engagement meetings, every event that our family center is currently doing, they have QR codes available that they can scan on the way in and fill it out as well. So lots of different interaction points. Goal 3, oh, sorry.
I have a question about FACE specialists. Could you tell us a little bit about what they do, what their job description is?
Sure.
Next. How they
Family and community engagement, or FACE specialists, their primary job is outreach to parents and outreach to families. So they connect with the school site and they connect with families to provide resources and make connections. They almost act as an ombudsman role in a lot of ways. So they can be a relationship building mechanism by which they connect with the families. The families feel comfortable saying, hey, I have this need or need to connect this way, or I'm not sure what this means in this report, and they can help interpret that or connect them with the right resource. We have a lot of families that'll stop into the Family Engagement Center and have conversations. We're able to route them to other portions. But the FACE specialists go out to the schools, spend most of their time out there at the school buildings, meeting people at pick up and drop off, helping the schools to coordinate their family events, and making sure that they're putting out flyers and offering those services of our classes, such as our ESL classes and citizenship classes and various things through the Family Center. So
how many
pretty
do we
wide
have?
variety. We're currently down to 10 current positions, but still a fair number going around the district. And all of them are assigned to schools that they then monitor directly. So they all have a couple of schools they check in with on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And so when you say that they're down, Jim, what was the number they were at before?
We were at 12. We're currently at 10.
Are we looking to get those other 2 positions back, or?
Not at this time. Our coverage is doing real well with 10, so we're hanging in right there.
And so with the budget here, this is what we should, this is what the budget that we have planned up to the date, and this is what we are mid-year, or this is what we have for the total year?
So this was the initial budget at plan approval back in June, and where the current budget is existing. So there's still some money to spend there. That's a current budget point to where we are currently.
So hypothetically speaking, for the school site, it's what, about another 100-some million, 100-some thousand that's left still in there to spend?
We have actually more than that still left to spend, because that's the total budgeted amount for the action. If we're looking at the amount that's still able to be spent, we have funds that are still being spent on salaries and things through the last segment of the year. The budget did shift a bit. If you notice that 2.1 increased as 2.2 decreased, not in exactly the same ratios. We also had some cuts within the LCAP funding, which Mr. Simmons will, I'm sure, be addressing as part of the second interim report. And so there was some shifting that had to do with the budgeting at that time too. Goal 3 is safe and healthy learning environments. This is a pretty wide goal that works on things like social emotional learning, mental health, behavioral interventions. We measure this through a variety of different ways, just highlighted a couple here. Suspension rate continues to decline over time. Our locally calculated at the end of first semester was looking pretty good in comparison to end of last year, so continuing to make that progress. Chronic absenteeism is another one of those areas. That's really a canary in the coal mine indicator for academic performance. We know for a fact, and all the research tells us, the higher that chronic absentee rate, the lower our academic performance is likely to be, especially in mathematics. That is the one that gets hit the hardest by chronic absenteeism. So making sure that we're continuing to reduce that rate. Remember, that rate can get better over the course of the year because it's 10% of the enrolled days. So as the enrolled days increase, if we have kids still coming, they can come off that chronic absentee indication piece. And then finally, our high school dropout rate, which continues to decline and continues to become lower and lower, which is wonderful. We want to make sure students are finishing through their credit recovery resources as needed as well. So within goal 3, we highlighted 4 different actions for you. Our supplemental counselors are continuing to provide a wide variety of different services at the school sites. Our mental health team is really providing an extensive number of different resources and supports for students on individual bases. I know that our team there has really done a wonderful job of outreach, and our families continue to rave about many of the services that they provide. As you saw in action in goal 1, we had the academic side of our MTSS system. 3.6 is our SEL, social emotional learning and behavior side of that platform, where we're helping to support those behavior intervention components and making sure that we're continuing to provide both sides of support as necessary for student interaction. And then 3.12 is a good example of some of that outreach work, our profession specialists that again connect with families and go into the community and help out with making sure that our high-risk students who are at risk of attendance issues are getting the resources needed in order to get to school. Again, another action that's heavily supported by that learning recovery grant as an example. So these are the main highlights through the plan. Again, goals 4 through 6 are specific to schools. Those are in the report, but I did not include them in this particular slide presentation as they are specific to the school sites. Cielo Vista also has offered to some information on their updates. Ms. Parashika is here, is able to help us answer any questions that may come up. But they're highlighting some of their metrics as well. ELA and math continues to look good over at Cielo Vista. They're making some great inroads and monitoring progress carefully. Their suspension rate continues to be a very nice number, down around 1%, which is really where we love to see, especially our elementary setting schools. Also with their actions, they've decided to highlight some of their MTSS work as well as their math intervention components, making sure that the students are getting their necessary support in a timely manner. They also provide additional mental health services as well as doing some very specific student engagement thing around some STEM activities to make sure students are interacting at the school and happy to interact with some of those programs as well. So they've chosen to share these particular actions as their spotlight items this time around. Again, you can refer to their full report, which is attached to the item for more details. Are there any other questions at this time?
Any questions? No? Okay, well, we thank you, Dr. Pfeffer.
Thank you very much.
Excellent report.
We will see you again in a couple of months as we start the new LCAP presentation cycle. So we'll have a number of things to bring to you soon. Yeah.
Item 13C, African American Studies Graduation Requirement Presentation. Dr. Kovacs.
Okay, trifecta, we're the third one. We have Dr. Killian here, our Director of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction. And for the board, if you remember a year ago, we brought to the board for approval of our AP African American Studies course, started at Palm Springs High School. We actually have that course at 3 of our high schools. And at that time, the request from the board was, yes, it's an elective now, but we would like to see if it can meet a U.S. history requirement. So Dr. Killian is here to go through that process and to ask the board for direction moving forward.
Good evening. Yes, thank you. I'm happy to report and share an update on AP African American Studies. Tonight, I'm going to provide a brief recap and review of what we have done from a year ago, share the committee work. We'll talk a little bit about other considerations, and then certainly, as Dr. Kovac mentioned, seek direction from the board. So a year ago, as Dr. Kovac mentioned, we brought a course to the board for approval for AP African American Studies as an elective course. It was approved. It is an active course in our district. 3 of the 4 high schools are offering it, and it is in our system available for any high school to teach. In October, I was facilitating the U.S. History Professional Development Day and worked with the teachers to convene a committee members per the board direction to work together to determine if we can, in fact, have AP African American Studies meet the U.S. History requirement and meet some of the standards and ensure that it does meet the standards to make it a U.S. History grad requirement. 5 committee members were either voluntold or volunteered. But what we wanted was we wanted a wide swath of academic teachers involved. And so AP African American Study teachers were all involved. And we had 2 U.S. history teachers, a part of the committee members. And then that brings us to tonight. And so I'm happy to share with you some of the committee work. First and foremost, we shared the committee objective. I wanted the committee members to realize that we are an advisory committee, that we are here to lean in our content expertise so that we could provide the board with all the information to make the determination, that we were not the decision-making body. We set some norms. All of our teachers are passionate about their content areas. Social science teachers can be especially passionate about their content areas, and so we wanted to establish norms and the rules by which we would play. This is coming from a social science major myself, so we wanted to make sure that we were very focused in our norms, and you can see here that we wanted to be open to conversation. We wanted to use evidence as the platform for our discussions, and we wanted to be able to make a recommendation to the board. We used the consensus process. I wanted the committee members to understand that this was not a vote. This was not about trying to bully or trying to have a vote on our recommendation, but rather we wanted to come to a solution that we can all live with. And so we use the consensus process. And so at the end of the day, what I wanted the committee members to feel comfortable with is whatever our recommendation is, that you can live with one of those levels of consensus measure. So the first thing we did was we reviewed the course description. I wanted to dispel any notion that there was changes to the course description. So in with the packet that our teachers had, the pink version of the course description was the original submission to curriculum advisory. The blue version was the version that was brought forth to the board for approval. And I wanted to highlight the difference. The difference between the two was at the grade level, it shows 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th on the pink version, and it shows 10th, 11th, 12th on the blue version. That decision was made at curriculum advisory. Curriculum advisory is composed of teachers, counselors, and site administration. The only other difference is in that box in the middle where it shows for meets graduation requirement, the pink version says yes, U.S. history. The blue version says yes for elective. I wanted the committee members to, again, understand that there were no changes to the content, no changes to the standards, or any element of the course other than those 2 pieces. Then we dove into the real work. So my office created the Google Doc there, and what we wanted the teachers to do is take a look at the AP African American Studies content, the materials, the resources, their syllabi, the textbook, everything, and compare them to the U.S. history standards. And so there are 11 total standards and 73 substandards. So you can see this one is 1 of 11, Founding, Constitution, War, Reconstruction. And I wanted them to go ahead and take a look at the curriculum and compare them, compare all those standards. So you could see, for an example, you would put partially met, fully met, or does not meet. And there's also an element that they can provide any anecdotal information down at the bottom. And so our committee members did that for all 73 standards. And so needless to say, they earned their lunch that day, but we'll get there in a minute. So what we saw is 36 standards were met, 10 were partially met, 27 were not met of those 73 substandards. And so you can see on my notes on this side there that World War I, World War II, and Cold War was what was brought up as missing elements. As I said, they earned their lunch. That took the majority of our morning. They were very methodical about it. They had some great, robust conversations. Each committee member submitted their own Google Doc because we wanted that to be the crux of our conversation. They came back from lunch. I did a quick recap and review to set us up for the afternoon portion. In the afternoon portion, we took time to take a look at some board policy. I wanted them to be informed about some of our guiding documents and policies and procedures in district. So we looked at academic standards and we reviewed different board policies. In this particular case, it talks about our commitment to standards-based curriculum, professional development, that we're bringing our teachers along on instructional practices. We talked about the specifically history and social science and what we're obligated to ensure that we incorporate into our instruction. We talked about the high school graduation requirement and the number of years required for each subject area and how it's defined for social science. And then we talked a little bit about specifically the topics in social science and what would be a part of our secondary curriculum. We talked a little bit about EdCode, and did EdCode define any further about what the recommendations are? And you can see here the very first is just the outline of what is the minimum graduation requirement. It talks a little bit further about the specific content in there, career technical education, and some other elements and upcoming graduation requirements. And then specifically about ethnic studies. We had a real robust conversation about AP African American Studies meeting the ethnic studies requirement. And so we talked a little bit about that with the policy. We talked about UCCSU and how AP African American Studies does meet the A requirement for US history for UCCSU purposes. I reminded the group that there were 3 distinct buckets that A through G courses can fit in for social science. It's US history, world history, or government. Those are the 3 areas that courses in the A requirement for social science can fit within. I shared with them that this is what's currently on our portal for UCCSU purposes, and you can see on the upper left-hand corner, it does meet the US history A through G requirement. So again, we went through some board policy, EdCode, UCCSU, and which led us to the recommendation. And through conversation with the group, the recommendation of the team was that AP African American Studies should meet the US History PSUSD graduation requirement with the caveat that the missing standards, specifically World War I, World War II, and the Cold War, are added to the course. So that was a recommendation of the committee. Some other elements that we discussed as a group, other considerations were if the course is right now, as it stands, open to 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, we talked about the net, casting the net, and what that would look like for course selections. So I took a screenshot of enrollment as of February 6th, just to give an indication of what we're talking about. So you can see at Desert Hot Springs High School, if we're marketing to 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and then subsequently Cathedral City, Palm Springs, Rancho Mirage, we're marketing to about 1,000 students on the course selection sheets. And I'm showing this, and the next slide will illustrate the course selection sheet. But you can see if it's open to 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students, we're marketing or we're casting the net out to about 1,000 students. If it's a US history graduation requirement, that's typically in the junior year. And so you can see here again, just using this as a rough estimate, approximately 330 students. That's where we would be marketing to. And I illustrate this just to show on the course selection. So I went on each of the high schools' websites, pulled down their course selection sheet. So this is an example of Rancho Mirage High School. You can see on the left column, required courses, and on the right column, elective courses or recommended courses. And so, for an example, for Rancho Mirage High School, this is a junior level grade selection document. And so for social science, you can see right now the choices are US History and US History AP. For the elective recommended social science courses, you can see there's ethnic studies and psychology. For Palm Springs High School, you can see the required courses again. So those are the courses that are non-negotiable for juniors. Again, the social science, their choices are US History AP, CP, and then the dual enrollment, History 017, 018. And then over on the right side, those are recommended or electives. They're not required. Cathedral City High School, down here at the bottom, those are the required courses. And then up in the middle, you can see those are the elective courses. Those are the choice courses. And then Desert Hot Springs High School, here are your required courses. And then over here, you can see that they have elective courses. And I just illustrate that point to show when we make the determination, how it could inform the course selection sheet. Last thing I want to show is a typical schedule as we're thinking about this. I didn't put periods 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but you can see that there are 6 rows. These are the typical 4 core content areas and then other. So a freshman class, for example, this is not exhaustive, but rather just to give a illustration. So a freshman will, English class, math class, they'll have Living Earth, that's their science class. There is no social studies class in 9th grade. That's typically where they'll take their visual performing arts class, Art 1, choir, band. They will take PE, and typically they will continue with their world language if they took it in middle school, or this will be their first year of language. And then subsequently all the way to the right with a senior level schedule. This is again not exhaustive, but just to give an idea, they have their English class, their math class. Science is typically an academic elective, or they'll be a TA, or they'll go unscheduled. Social science, this is where they'll take Gov and Econ. That's a grad requirement, state grad requirement. And then again, 2 other slots where they can take any elective, they could be a TA, they can go unscheduled. So there's a lot of room in a senior level schedule. So at this point, with that information, I wanted to share with the board, if we stay with the current status with the AP African American Studies as an elective credit, it'll be available to 10, 11, 12 as it is already. It'll continue to meet the A through G. There'll be no changes in Synergy. It's already built to be an elective class for 9 or 10, 11, 12. And then there'll be no changes in the course catalog or the course selection sheet. If we decide to move it as a US History class, it'll be available to 11th grade under the required column. And then it'll continue to be A through G approved. We'll make changes within Synergy so that it can fill the US History bucket or requirement, and then we'll make changes on the course selection as well as the course catalog. So those are the 2 elements that I look to get board direction from.
You put that last slide.
Yeah.
Put the last slide up there. Thank you.
Of course.
I don't know if it will affect my decision, but out of each school, we have about 1,000 students that are eligible to take this class. How many take it?
So right now we have three high schools offering it, and they're anywhere between 15 to 18 students currently enrolled in the class. Admittedly, though, when we approved this course in February, we were later in the course selection. Sorry, I got excited. Mr. Girardi, and I believe at that point you indicated too, like we needed to either approve it so it can get on the course selection sooner rather than later. So the timeline, I think, prohibited some of the enrollment. But right now we've got, it's like 15, 18, and 17. Mm-hmm.
So with saying that, are you saying that's how many students it's available in 3 schools right now?
It's available, once we approve a course, it's available to in all of our high schools. Just Cathedral City High School couldn't fit it in their master schedule because of IB.
Okay. So right now it's only, what, about 15, 18?
And 17 enrolled.
Less than 100 students taking it?
Correct.
Maybe less than 40. But, okay, that's besides the point. But so has anyone else in California had this AP African American Studies?
Yes.
Okay, so with this, do they have the version that we have, or do they have the version where it is available for the one on the right-hand side for the U.S. history credit?
It's both. And so the majority of the districts that I was able to look into have it as an elective. We do have a couple of districts, 3 districts that offer it as U.S. history. It's a local decision, and so I think LA Unified is one, San Bernardino Unified is one. Desert Sands was the first to offer it. Last year, this is their second year to offer it. It's an elective. Beaumont offers it as an elective, and so there's different districts that offer it as elective.
Do you have any like stats or anything for any one of the schools of showing? Because I know that saying that, having that information that it's available for 3,000. I don't. How many students did you say it was available for? Can you go back to that slide?
Yeah, 100%.
There it is. So it'll be available for 1,000 students. Is there any way, I guess, I'm asking, is there any way to do it both? Have both available? Yeah. Have it both available to where it's available through 9 through 12, and also make it a requirement for the 11th graders?
So the short answer is yes. So what will happen in Synergy is we will have it as a U.S. history grad requirement if we're moving in that direction. Just like any other course, when you take a course and it fills that bucket, that U.S. history bucket, or let's even say PE or any course, all of those extra credits automatically fall into an elective. So ASB is a great one. You have a student who takes ASB all 4 years, it fills an elective slot, and all that other credit spills into elective. PE, if you take PE more than 2 years, 2 years is the minimum requirement. If you take anything more than that, all those extra fill into the elective. So it'll naturally fall into the elective.
So it kind of could play as another option to add on to our decision.
It could. What I will say is if you recall on a normal schedule, it'll be, if it's a U.S. history grad requirement, it'll be marketed to juniors. Seniors could potentially take it. Yes, they will have met their U.S. history grad requirement, but again, it'll just overflow into the elective bucket. Sophomores are already taking world history. Most don't have room in their schedule. If you recall on this schedule slide, they won't have room in their schedule to take it. Freshmen, maybe. They do have an opening because they don't have a U.S. history. So it'd be pretty much freshmen. Well, no, because we don't typically do U.S. history as a freshman. We try to keep it pretty pure with our juniors. U.S. history is a junior level class. So it would be juniors and then possibly seniors. Yes?
And
So Palm Springs High School, it's juniors and seniors. They're taking it in an elective slot for the juniors, and they're taking it simultaneously with U.S. because currently it's an elective. I'm very passionate about this topic. At Rancho Mirage High School, we do have some freshmen in there. We have underclassmen.
Yeah. All right, so one more thing also I wanted to add in there. So with adding the Cold War and World War II in there, is that something that's going to change it drastically, or is it just something that is something that could be added in there? And the same thing goes for that in other areas. Are they adding the Cold War and World War II in there also in other California schools that are doing it?
I don't know the answer to the other California schools that offer AP African American Studies to meet the U.S., so that I can't answer that. But what I can say is the committee members, what I shared with them is, depending on the board direction and where we move, that I would convene, again, this committee of 5, and I'd be looking to them to help me weave in those standards that are missing. Some of the elements they said is they would go a little bit deeper and further where it fits naturally in the course sequence or the scope and sequence within the curriculum. but some of it is going to be done after the assessment. Because with an AP class, they're preparing the students for the assessment. And so they want to make sure they hit all of those content areas to prepare them for the assessment.
So if other schools have it available, so that there is wiggle room to not have it or to have it in there, or is there like a guideline where it needs to be this, and where did we come up with this idea that needed to be in there? If other schools are doing it or other districts are doing it differently, how do we get to that point? Is that just because the committee decided to add that in there? And why would it be different from what it is in California?
The committee members felt that it was important enough to include those elements because it didn't cover the world wars enough. The AP African American Studies content didn't cover the world wars enough. And so the committee members, leaning into their content expertise, wanted to weave that in. They felt like it was important enough. If we're going to count it as U.S. history, they wanted to weave in those standards.
So with those type of items, will it have African American like a feel to it, or how would that go into there?
I would lean in on the content experts. It addresses somewhat, but it didn't address it enough. You remember the partially met and so forth, and so the committee members felt like it didn't address it enough. So from a lens of African American, I don't know. I would have to lean in on them. I think what they wanted to ensure that students walked away with a clear understanding of those different wars.
Well, what I would say to that also is that if we're going to have AP African American Studies, I know there's plenty of great contributions of African Americans in either one of those wars. And so I would like to know that before I agree to add that into to where it's part of the curriculum, if that is the direction that they're going, because if you are taking an AP African American class, you would like to get the African American perspective. And so if we're going to do that, I would like to make sure that if we're going to give that perspective, we're making sure that we're giving the perspective from African Americans. So before adding that in there, I would like to make sure that I know that is something that's available, considering that other districts not necessarily have that put in place. And another question I have for you as well, was any of the committee members, were any of them African American?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Follow up on my colleagues' comments. If we weave this curriculum into the class, what do we lose?
That was a conversation we had with the committee members, and the thought was once we convene the committee and get a better scope and look at how this would weave in, would it naturally weave in the natural scope that College Board has provided, or would it be done after the assessment is given? Our social science AP exams, AP African American Studies will be testing in the first part of the testing window, which is the first week of May. That's where it's going to be slotted. And so what does that look like post the AP exam? So it may be that we hit some of it at the conclusion once the exam is taken. That was one of the things that was talked about with committee. That was a long-winded way to say I'm not sure what would be taken out, but here's the thing is at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to stay true to the content and curriculum, to Mr. Irvin's part, in that we want to stay true to the content and we want our students to be prepared for the assessment. So I think there's going to be a lot of effort as to not eliminate any of the content and keep it as intact as possible. You've been very patient.
Hi, Dr. Killian. I just had a quick question for clarification. Would this 11th grade students be taking the AP African American Studies class instead of the U.S. History class?
Pending board direction, if it does meet a U.S. History grad requirement for Palm Springs Unified, students could take AP African American Studies in lieu of U.S. History.
Okay, because I had just a quick question/opinion. So in my junior year, I took U.S. History, and the course covered African American Studies, Native American Studies, Asian American Studies, and also Hispanic Studies. And so my question is, would the students be missing out on those other cultures if they do take the African American Studies? And if they do, I feel like that's kind of, that is I guess a loss. that the students would be experiencing, I guess you could say.
Yep. It's definitely through a perspective and a lens, and yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, excuse me. So I also took AP US History so last year, and I do have a question regarding that. So, is there enough of a distinction between AP African American Studies and APUSH to like warrant a big like different change to where you would only take AP African American Studies as opposed to APUSH?
A difference between the two AP curriculums?
Right, yeah.
So AP US History aligns more to the state standard frameworks, and so the 11 main standards and those 73 substandards, it aligns much closer to that than AP African American Studies. So the answer in short is yes, AP US is more aligned to the state standard framework. And AP African American Studies has some standards that are partially met and some that are not met. And so we're trying to determine how we can best meet that need.
Right. And are they tested differently? Like,
It's
with
a
the
different
AP
assessment.
exams? Okay.
Yeah, it's a different assessment, absolutely. And the qualifying score may look different at the university. Typically, your AP US can meet the US History. AP African American Studies, it depends on your major.
I have a question. Is it possible to find out what the curriculum is in districts where the AP African American Studies meets the U.S. history requirement, and how they deal with World War I, World War II, and what was the other one? Cold War, the Cold War.
Sure.
That's the first question. Okay.
Yes, definitely, I can reach out. The curriculum itself is given by College Board, so that's standard, but I can definitely inquire with the districts on how do they address that and if they address the missing standards.
And when they address it in the sequence. Also, if you're talking about just offering it to 12th graders, 11th and 12th graders, or you just...
But there's a couple of ways we could do it. If it's just U.S. history, it could be U.S. history, and then if seniors would like to take it as an elective, that's totally fine. They will have met their U.S. history, and again, any extra will just fill into the elective bucket.
But if they take it for the U.S. history, meeting the U.S. history requirement, what grade is it going to be offered in?
11th grade.
11th grade?
Yes.
Okay, so how many sections of this particular course are going to be offered?
It depends on the interest. So typically we run a section. If there's about 15 students or more, we'll run a section. If there's not enough to run a section, then they won't run it.
So we're talking at a typical high school, what do you see projected? I know this is hypothetical, in the future of how many students? Are we talking, 100, or were we talking maybe less than 100 students would be taking it, 50 students, and we'd have 2 sections per high school?
It's hard to say. I will say our numbers right now are reflective of getting it on the course selection and PRing it a little bit late last year. And so it's about building the program much like any other new course. It's a brand new course at our schools. And so just getting the word out and trying to get some excitement around that. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Most take U.S. History CP. Most juniors take U.S. History CP. When they want to stretch themselves, they'll take AP US. And in this case, if it's a grad requirement, they can push themselves and take AP African American Studies.
So tonight you're looking for us for direction as to what the next steps are, or one of these selections, or what are we looking for?
So where sorry, Dr. Kovac. Yep.
We're looking for board direction or whether or not we want to move forward with meeting the grad requirement. And if that's the board direction, then Dr. Killian will convene the committee to ensure that we're adding those other elements in there. And I do agree with Mr. Irvin looking at that from the African American perspective, from those.
I think before I could vote for that, I'd like to see what the curriculum is, how it's going to change, and does it address some of the concerns Olivia brought up?
I mean, even with the comments that Olivia brought up, at the end of the day, AP African American History is American history. It's just the lens from an African American's perspective. So, with the statement about the Hispanic as well. I mean, once we get something in the door and we have something solid and we can see results, there's other opportunities for everything. So I think that we're here at the table and we've been here at this situation, that it's not a one-all stop, but it is an entryway to get in to give a perspective. And so for so long, that perspective of an African American contribution to this country has been denied for so long that just to fight to even recognize any of the contributions of African Americans, not to say any other race is not less than, but we're just saying that we're coming through the door first. And as we come through the door, we can add. It's not that we're coming through the door and closing it. So I hope that helps you out a little bit more to make you feel that if we are looking to do something for one particular race, to give that lens. That's all we're doing, is just giving, we're shining the light to say that African Americans contribute to America. And so just from the perspective of the things that they've done. So I think that it's a great idea. I wouldn't even take the mindset to think that taking AP African American Studies, you're losing something. You're gaining because it's still American history, but you're gaining a perspective from another lens.
I have like one last clarifying question. So you talked about how you guys reviewed the standards, right? And there are some standards that you felt were not like they were not addressed, some that were partially, and some that were addressed. So in this consideration, and you do find this, would you be incorporating some of those standards that you feel were not addressed within the findings, and then would that kind of qualify for why it would be a history rather than like an actual history class compared to an elective?
So that's exactly what we would be doing. Again, is the direction we would convene the committee. We would go back to those Google Docs and see where exactly where we're missing, where the partial standards were, and where we were not meeting the standards, and see how could we incorporate it and weave it into the AP African American content. Yep, that's exactly what we would be doing, addressing those missing elements. That would be our starting point. Yep.
I would like to suggest that we go back and we ask them for the difference between the schools that are using it, that have already went through the door already, and find out what they did with the Cold War and the World War II. And then I would also see if any of those other schools are offering it for 9, 11, and 10, to see if that's available before I feel comfortable making a decision. I would also like to say that I would really like to see someone who is African American be involved somewhat in that process of making that decision. Not to say that anyone else is not available to make that decision and represent, but I would like to see some sort of a representation of someone who is going, if it's going to be African American AP history, I would like to see someone African American giving their input and their decision making on it. I don't know how you guys came to the process of having the ones that you suggested. It seemed like you said that you told some of them, not told them, but you kind of encouraged them.
I wanted the quip about voluntold is I really wanted our AP African American Studies, those teachers that are teaching it now, I wanted them to be a part of the process. And so what I shared with them is, for you guys, you're a part of this committee.
Yeah.
Because they're teaching it, they were trained in it. We have 2 U.S. history teachers that were involved. One of them teaches ethnic studies, and is our dual immersion teacher over at Palm Springs High. So that was a volunteer, and another teacher was a volunteer. So while the quip may not have landed, it was really, I wanted the AP African American Studies teachers specifically to be on the committee because they were well trained, and they teach U.S. history. So I felt like they would be great representatives to see.
Do we have any U.S. African American U.S. history teachers in the district?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. When I'm looking through the tables during our professional development day, and I don't believe so.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Okay, can we get back to where we have to make a decision tonight to the last page on this? It seems like we have a third option that has come up from the board. Mhm. So, right,
Follow my. And too, again, I'd like to see the difference in the curriculums before I would decide. Because some things are important. I mean, you guys are the content experts, there's no question about it, but I'd like to see if anything gets pushed out by adding this new curriculum and how it's going to look. That makes sense.
Real quickly, how much of the portion of the Cold War and the World War I and II is, what percentage of that is part of the curriculum?
I would need to lean in on the content experts.
So they didn't come up with an idea to say, hey, 10% of the course will be on this topic?
They did not. What they did was they took a look at what College Board provides, their scope and sequence, the content, and they compared it to those substandards and said, does our AP African American Study cover it? And so you could see that it was either yes, it did, partially, or not. And so I'd have to go back and lean in on what they found.
Okay,
but we didn't break it down by that. We just broke it down by the number of standards.
I mean, it could be something of significant to know how much of the portion of that study is directed to that. So I don't know. If you can, please ask them that as well.
I'd happy to, but as I said, they were very adamant about those standards wasn't addressed enough, and so they felt like it needed to be addressed. So I can definitely go back and look at the percentages, but that's what they felt as a content expert.
Okay.
okay, let's kind of sum this up. Because what I'm hearing from the board is that we would like you to find out what other districts who have approved this for U.S. history for an A to G requirement, that you could find out what their curriculum is.
For grad.
I mean, for
yes,
grad,
I got you.
Okay,
yep,
for
absolutely.
graduation, okay.
Yes.
And if you can also find out where the wars 1, 2, and the Cold War, how much that would alter the course of the course. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you also ask them, will it be from a lens of the African American experience in the Cold War and any of those other wars?
And I think it's also, if you talk to other districts, how they do address those concerns and see exactly what their courses include, so they can be included in this. Okay. Any other?
How long will it take for you to come back down?
Yes, because Dr. Killing, we're also thinking about course catalog and selection of courses. So.
Yeah.
When does this need to be actually wrapped up? So tomorrow? No, when?
So we are in the process of course selection, just like we were a year ago at this point. So we are working with our upperclassmen right now doing course selections. So right now is where we're working with our upperclassmen. Our seniors and our juniors. We're working with them right now with course selections.
How about March 10th? I know that's quick.
Of course.
You're Superwoman.
Of course. Yes. I'm at the will of the cabinet and the board, of course.
We'll find out. We'll get it.
Oh,
March 10th.
sorry. So, let's say that you do have it on March 10th. Would that mean that these changes within the different, would that have to apply to the year after 26 to 27? Because it would be, because I know that the juniors have already selected their courses for this year, so then that would have to be, all of this would, with the curriculum changes and whatnot, would have to be the following year after that, so 27, 28.
I was working under the premise that we would try to get this so that for 26-27, it would go live for 26-27. So the response to that would be, if we move forward with this and the findings from by March 10th happens, then what we would do is those juniors that have chosen other U.S. history classes or maybe AP US, we would have a conversation with them to talk about, hey, this is an option for you now. It is a U.S. history grad requirement for Palm Springs Unified if that's the direction we move. So it would require a schedule change. So we would have to convene and determine how we would address that, but it would be a schedule change for 26, 27.
Any other comments? Well, thank you very much, because you have brought to us a lot to think about, and it was a very
Great job.
robust discussion. And you really did a great job trying to answer all of our questions.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the homework.
See you March 10th.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, next up is number 14, board member comments. Do we have any comments from the board? Anybody that would like to start?
Okay, so I'm happy to say this first, and that we appreciate everyone that's here tonight supporting our board meeting and helping us with technology, translating, and sign language, and participating together for this evening. It takes a lot of work, and as we speak to our staff along the way, it's not sometimes a simple process. So we sometimes wait till the end to recognize people, and this is really important. And Monica's shaking her head. So that means you all and everyone that's been here and that's still here. Thank you. So I started with that, but here we are in Black History Month, and 3 amazing events at Raymond Cree, celebration of Black History at James Workman, and then Friday at Cielo Vista. Together, our students collaboratively worked to make such great history and learning possible. And they demonstrated this through critical thinking, through higher order thinking skills, through speech, through projects, through displays, through dance, through music, art. And the impressive part was each one of the schools really had their own mark on how they brought the community in, how they brought us in, and parents and others in the schools. So hats off to those schools that I had a chance to visit for Black History Month, and there's more beyond that. And in that visit to those schools consistently, and maybe some of our board members could add, our organizations, College of the Desert at all 3 events, Palm Springs Unified Parent Engagement Center, Community Credit Union, the Painted Hills Drum Circle, Norman McKee, the James O'Jesse Highland Unity Center Drill Team with Miss Ann and the Drum Squad. The Rosa Parks bus showed up at every event, and on the bus was where you could be presented and narrated by 2 students, 6th graders at James Workman, who were knowledgeable and could show us where she sat and explain what was happening. These details, including the Zoom drivers and the company and the police departments and all of the health organizations, vendors and activities, these together provided such rich, we're talking about rigor right now, well, these have provided such rigorous and meaningful learning opportunities. And this is not simple. It takes a lot of work and a lot of coordination. So hats off to them and others who also did those amazing nights and days of presentations and celebrations. I did get to go to the Do the Right Thing on Wednesday, February the 18th, but I think Saturday was one of my favorite events, the Kid Wind event. And hats off to Mr. Casey Heiser, who hosted this event at our Desert Hot Springs High School. That is the perfect venue. If you see the hundreds of tables there for the kids, the perfect venue that he worked with Kim McNulty from One Future, and from with David Budai, and Real Academy, and Public Safety and Nutrition. The amazing day of learning for these scholars and others from across the valley to come together to not only learn about science, but to talk about it, to show it, to explain it, to compete in this academic excellence and rigor. So I didn't get to judge, but I get to watch the judging. And there were, in this one category, there were four different rubrics, parts: blades, drivetrain, innovation, depth, complexity, and clarity. And as I listened to the students talk about recycled pipes, blades, cleanup, repurposed blades, learning the pitch, using reusable energy, doing harm to the environment without this, doing the math in this project, calculating energy, how they would calculate it again, voltage, electrical formulas, wind power formulas, problems they had. And this is one of the most interesting things, is the students talked about how they learned how to communicate with each other in creating this project called Green Machine. And so for this reason, I just have to say, let's do it again. It's exciting to see this come to Desert Hot Springs High School and engage more learners from across the valley. And I can't tell you how much I appreciated all of this that I saw on Saturday. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, President Guerrero. I want to start thanking the community members, parents that came to the public meeting to have the public comments. We take the comments seriously, and Mr. Marcos, Dr. Funches took notes about the situation that is happening in Nelly Cosman School. Also, a student board member, good presentation. Thank you both for keeping us updated and keeping the entire community updated in the stream in YouTube and the public in person. The presentation that we have, thank you all of you. That was all the time is a good presentation, and we receive a lot of data to get more information on how the school district is doing, and thank you for all. And also, I want to congratulate our Golden Eagle girls basketball team who advanced to the CIF SS Affinity Region 9. They are competing in the final next Saturday. I wish the best for them, and I want to tell the team, the school, that we are very proud of all of them, because they are technically representing the whole, at least the whole Coachella Valley. We know, and I spend a lot of time assisting to sport events, because I know the whole benefit that they have about talking about physical health, about building resilience, discipline, self-confidence, also academics success, social skill, and teamwork, and many another benefits. And in the February 11, I stopped in the 8-week campus in Desert Hot Spring. I received the invitation for Mr. Olvera. Yes, informal visit. He introduced me some employees from the nutrition services, because it was during the lunch time, and I have the conversation with the student. Very quick visit, very informal, because I know that it's important for the school district to spend time in the whole schools, and I can say especially the Hot Spring School. in the February 11, I attended also the soccer game, the boy team from Rancho Mira High School. They, in that day, they win and they moved to the second round. And they lost, but the same team, in that game, they represent the entire Coachella Valley, and they did it very well. And also, my colleague, I attended the Raymond Creed Middle School and Cielo Vista Charter, celebrating the Black History Month. And in the 18, I attended the Do the Right Things. All the time have been a good event because they bring together the whole 3 school district in Coachella Valley, and they honor or give recognition to a student from the all 3 school district. And today, this morning, I'm attending with Marco Funchis, John Boyko, and another staff from the school district, the Palm Springs Sun Up Rotary Club. Was a great update from Dr. Funchis, and I'm back very thankful of that Rotary Club, because it's not a question that they are in the best disposition to support our youth from the school district. Thank you. That's it.
Real quick, thank you. First, Olivia and Tracy, thank you very much for your presentations. Olivia, thank you for bringing Makai to our attention. What an impressive young man. And Tracy, please thank Brent for his video for us, okay? He did a very nice job. I want to thank all our public speakers also. I heard some pretty concerning comments there, and I'm sure Dr. Funchis and everybody else heard them, so I'm sure you'll look into that for us. Thank you. Congratulations to all the students that participated in the Kid Win competition, and congratulations to all the students that were honored by Do the Right Thing. What a great organization, how they honor our students. They do a very nice job. And congratulations, as my colleague said, to the Desert Hot Springs High School girls basketball team. They're going to be playing in the CIF championship game. And I don't know if you guys read it, but Dr. Funchis' Friday reflection talked about excellence and how he referenced that high school team in reference and their dedication, their determination, their grit, and their perseverance. And that really is what determines excellence. And I appreciate those comments, Dr. Funchis. And finally, I'm looking forward to the Black History Parade on Saturday. I hope to see you guys there.
All right. And so I also attended all of the middle schools and elementary Black History events, as well with the other board members on February the 17th at Raymond Cree, February 19th at James Workman, and February 20th at Cielo Vista Charter. I also attended February the 23rd, Tools for Tomorrow. And at the Tools for Tomorrow event, they do a wonderful job. Our Rio Vista Elementary is constantly there. This year, they usually do performance. This year they didn't, but they were greeters. And so they were able to greet all of the people coming in. My son happened to be one of them. There was a bid for an auction for a trip to Italy, and my son grabbed my bidding card and started to raise it. It got to $9,000. I told him, boy, if you don't put that down. So he got ready to raise it. I was like, no. So whoever bid it for, they won it. He said after we got home, he was like, Dad, you know, you promised me a trip. So I was ready to take that trip to Italy. And so I'm really upset at you because I wanted to go to Italy, and it was a Michelin star chef that was going to be cooking for us. So I was really excited about that. So I'm kind of upset that you blocked my card. I was like, you really wanted to go on a trip that bad? So I guess I got to try to figure out how to get my son to Italy. It was good because they were able to raise $9,000 for each one of the groups. So they raised about $18,000 just for that Italy trip. So it was really great there. I also want to say as well to the board members, I love how you guys are talking. If any other students are watching at home, that is exactly what you're supposed to do. You guys are representing for students. You guys are making your voice heard, and you're even engaging in conversation, which I love because we never hear what you guys think. And so we appreciate that. Continue to keep speaking. Encourage yourself to always speak up and say how you feel. And thank you guys for being so great. Also, at Desert Hot Springs as well, congratulations to those girls. I wish you guys the best on Saturday. I would have drove out there, but we have the Black History Parade as well going on at the same time. So downtown Palm Springs, if you have an opportunity on Saturday, there is a Black History Parade. It'll be 10 a.m., I believe. Yes, 10 a.m. downtown Palm Springs. Afterwards, there will be food, games, and different things like that available to share the culture. So please come out. Also, everyone has mentioned other congratulations. I want to say congratulations to Bella Isabel Ramirez. So she is the girls athlete for wrestling who will be going to Masters. And she is one of the only ones that we have here in the Coachella Valley that will be going to Masters and representing for wrestling. So, girls rock.
Thank you. I really want to thank people that came tonight and talked during public comment. And I know some of the things that they said will be addressed by Dr. Funches and administrators. Also, Tracy and Olivia, you are the voice of students, not only at your schools, but throughout the district. And really appreciate all that you bring to the board and to the district as a whole, and for your comments that they're thoughtful. And you've been there, you've done that, so you really have a great perspective. So really, thank you. Really, congratulations to all of tonight's honorees and to our Palm Springs Unified School District Educators of the Year. The service they provide is outstanding, and their support to Palm Springs Unified is appreciated. Also, thank you, Mark Arnold. Thank you, Dr. Pfeffer and Deanna Coulian, for your robust discussions tonight. I mean, it's important that we hear from you and what's going on, and so we want to do what's best for our kids as you do, so we really appreciate you coming here and talking to us tonight and presenting your reports, and thank you, Dr. Kovetz, for arranging all of that. Also, thank you to all of our schools who celebrated Black History Month and all of the activities that went on. It culminates Saturday in the Black History Parade, and so the board and Dr. Funches will be participating in that. And also, it's always wonderful to go to Do the Right Thing. They again honored 9 of students throughout not only Palm Springs Unified, but Coachella Valley and Desert Sands. And the gifts they give these kids and their families is amazing. And also to the supporters that support that group, and to Dr. Terry Kedover. And good luck to Desert Hot Springs girls basketball team. It's sorry that we are going to miss it, but we will be thinking of them, and hopefully we can see it on YouTube later on. So thank you. Next, we have our school board members, students who are members, if you'd like to say something.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and go first. First of all, so with that presentation, that was great. The reason why I was really a little bit curious about the AP African American Studies is because sometimes a lot of the students didn't actually know that the course was being offered, and if we're able to figure that out and get that information sorted, then I'd really be I'd be happy for those students who are able to get that opportunity and to make it easier for those students to know about those classes. Additionally, let me see here. I'm excited for that parade on Saturday. I would love to have one of those shirts that they wear. I'd love to wear one of those shirts. And there is, lastly, like I said before in my presentation, March 20th is our carnival. We're really trying to push that because a lot of the time, incoming freshmen, they don't know the clubs that are in our school. They don't know some of the classes that are offered, some of the different things that they're able to do as a freshman. So with that carnival, we're inviting those incoming freshmen to get more of a taste of what they can have, and that's just something great. That is March 20th, and that concludes my comments.
And I would just like to thank the board for the opportunity for presenting to you guys. I know on behalf of Ranch Mirage High School and the other high schools, we are very excited to share what we're doing with you guys. And sometimes it may feel like the staff or adults don't really care about what we're doing, but when we come here and I'm able to speak for the student body, they are very proud to showcase what they are doing. And I've had students say, thank you so much for including our programs. We feel that we are seen and heard, and we'd just like to thank the board for the opportunity of implementing the programs. And I would just like to say thank you for the educational presentation. I feel very much enlightened by your presentation, so I'd say thank you to that. And I'm also excited to smile and wave at the parade on Saturday and just see what our community is going to be showcasing. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to superintendent's report on items 15. 16.
Thank you, Board President. While I have the floor, I want to point out Tracy and Olivia. I want to thank you for incorporating academics into your presentation and how your colleagues or your fellow scholars are pushing ahead academically, socially, sports, and extracurriculars. Thank you for that. I also want to thank Dr. Kovac and her Ed Services team, in particular, Mr. Arnold. Thank you for pointing out that the priority standards, curriculum, and assessment alignment work is needed. Appreciate that work, sir. I also want to thank Jim Pfeffer for his professionalism, clear and transparent data within the LCAP, which builds trust with the community and our board, as well as Dr. Killian and the information that you presented this evening. That is important work for this community. I thank you for your professionalism. Job well done. I just want to point out a couple things around resilience and perseverance. As Mr. Girardi said, PSUSD excellence is that. Next slide. So I want to point out these young ladies right there. Desert Hot Springs, I heard that they started off the year basketball season with a number of losses. Didn't let that stop, 0-8, I believe. Didn't let that stop them. A big shout out to Coach Vanessa Alvarado, Omar Tinoco, and the whole team at DHS. We're rooting you on for Saturday. Good job. Thank you for persevering. Thank you for your resilience, and thank you for moving ahead. That's PSUSD excellence. Next slide. And as we go to our Do the Right Thing events, I want to thank Dr. Gascoigne for her work there as well. The stories that are told about those young people are heart-warming, excellent. They do something for the soul. Many of our young people face a lot of things that we don't know about, but every day they're doing things to be examples for other people. They need to be recognized for that, and it does something to other young people and us as adults. So I want to thank everyone that has anything to do with Do the Right Thing and our board for always showing up there. Fabian Guzman, Samantha Henry, and Rebecca Pedroza, your stories are amazing. Keep up the good work. Next slide, please. And as we took part in our Black History community events this year, continuing to recognize the resilience and perseverance within the Black community, our contributions to America, Raymond Cree Middle School, Culture, Courage, and Community, James Workman Middle School, Many Cultures, One Community, and Cielo Vista Charter, African American Heritage Festival. Those performances and all of our scholars there pointing out the contributions of Black Americans. Another job well done. That's PSUSD excellence. And then finally, what I'll say to this, and Mr. Jarrell, next slide, please. What I'll say to this last slide right here, Kid Win competition. I wasn't able to attend that, but I'm very aware of the grit, perseverance, resilience, dedication, commitment that our scholars need to do well in that competition, building projects that show forth their creativity and science prowess. I'm going to give a projection for next year. my projection for next year is when we go to that competition, we're going to win that bad boy. We're going to be in first place at the Kid Win competition. And I'm putting that out there right now. But I want to thank Kim McNulty. I want to thank Mr. Casey Heiser and Desert Hot Springs. Keep being resilient, keep persevering, because that's PSUSD excellence. Thank you. That's all that I have for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Funchess. Item 17, we're going on to board action items. 17A, approval or proclamation of music in our schools, March 2026. Student Board Member Tracy Inting will read the proclamation.
Whereas for more than 30 years, March has officially been designated by the National Association for Music Education as Music in Our Schools Month, encouraging communities across the nation to focus on music education, and whereas music education is part of a well-rounded education for every student, as outlined in the federal Every Student Succeeds Act, and whereas the purpose of this celebration is to raise awareness of the lasting positive impact of music education on the academic, personal, and professional growth of our students, and whereas music education shapes the way our students understand themselves and the world around them, allowing for a deep engagement with learning, and whereas Music in Our Schools Month reminds us that school is where all children should have access to music, and whereas music educators, students, and communities throughout California demonstrate the importance of quality music education programs to the lives of young people, and whereas the music educators of the Palm Springs Unified School District enrich the educational experiences of students at all grade levels by teaching general music, vocal music, instrumental music, exploratory music, and appreciating diverse musical styles. And whereas the state of California joins our music students, educators, and communities in celebrating the power of music education. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Palm Springs Unified School District does hereby proclaim that March 2026 is Music in Our Schools Month. The Palm Springs Unified School District Board of Education encourages our students to celebrate and acknowledge every day, and especially in March, that music education is an essential part of every student's well-rounded education. Passed and adopted by the Governing Board of the Palm Springs Unified School District this 24th day of February 2026.
Thank you, Tracy. Can I get a motion to approve 17A? Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion pass. 17B. Approval of proclamation of arts in our schools, March 2026, OE10. Board Member Olivia Aparico will read the proclamation.
Whereas the arts a necessary and required component of every California student's education to develop well-rounded, lifelong learners who contribute to the prosperity and quality of life for local and global communities. And whereas arts education is crucial to achieving a state educational policy devoted to the teaching of essential academic skills and lifelong learning capacities to truly prepare all children for success in school and life regardless of gender, age, race, ethnicity, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, immigration status, language, economic status, physical ability, or learning ability. And whereas arts education prepares students for the 21st century workforce, furthers academic goals, complements learning in other core subjects, improves student engagement and attendance, strengthens family and community engagement, and enhances a positive school culture and climate. And whereas arts education uniquely communicates the ideas and emotion of the human spirit and connects us to our history, heritage, and culture, fostering appreciation, affirmation, and revisitation of one's culture and understanding of other cultures. Developing emotional intelligence, social emotional learning, critical thinking, effective communication, collaborative skills, and creativity. And whereas arts education Dance, media arts, music, theater, and visual arts develops engaged, creative, expressive, responsive, empathetic, and artistically literate communities. It fosters joy, promotes tolerance, and cultivates decency in society. And whereas arts education nurtures creativity and expression and is a valuable means to attain long term employment across diverse industries. Creativity is critical to our future economies and essential for people to stay relevant and thrive in our fast evolving workforce, according to the World Economic Forum's Future of the Jobs Report. And whereas the arts are a recognized part of a quality education in the University of California and the California State University have instituted a policy that includes arts education as a college preparatory subject for all high school pupils wishing to enter the state's institutions of higher education. And whereas California voters overwhelmingly voted in favor of the Proposition 28, the Arts and Music in Schools Funding Guarantee and Accountability Act, mandating dedicated funding and equitable access to arts education for all California public school students. And whereas every student has a right to a well rounded education that includes the arts and the benefits it brings as mandated in sections 51210 and 51220 of the Education Code, which states in part the adopted course of study shall include instruction in visual and performing arts, including instruction in the subjects of dance, music, theater, and visual arts, aimed at the development of aesthetic appreciation and the skills of creative expression. And whereas the State Board of Education adopted the California Arts Standards for public schools pre-kindergarten through grade 12 in 2019 and the California Arts Education Framework for public schools, transitional kindergarten through grade 12 in 2020, which provided a foundation for the development of artistic competencies and the cultivation of a lifelong appreciation and understanding of the arts. The California Arts Standard reflect the fundamental belief that every child should have equitable access to high quality standards based arts education to thrive and participate in modern society. And now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Palm Springs Unified School District does hereby proclaim that March 2026 is the Arts Education Month and urges all residents to become interested in and fully support quality arts education programs for all students. Passed and adopted by the Governing Board of the Palm Springs Unified School District this 24th day of February 2026.
Wow, thank you, Olivia. Can I get a motion to approve 17B?
Move for approval.
Second.
Are there any questions?
I just have a comment. You're amazing readers, and you just do everything great. And when we look and read about arts and music, we're very passionate. And for 7 years, we have been an arts equity district. And that's so important because we were the first in the county to recognize that all students should have access to art and music. And so part of the proclamation doesn't say that. And speaking with Dr. Funches, I would like to add an amendment that we include, and I'm not going to read everything that I have in the amendment, but basically we include that our district has made equity in the arts a defined part of our mission, and it goes hand in hand with our mission statement. All members of Palm Springs Unified School District are united in our commitment to equity. So when we include that arts equity as a district priority is really important, and we add that in this amendment, and that our district would be inclusive and comprehensive art experiences, adding that with details. And then last, adding that strategic arts education planning is key in the success for our students, that we continue to be very proud of being an arts equity district. And I think that, many people might forget that happened 7 years ago But this is really, really key as we move along through the years. So that's my comments. My suggestion would be to add an amendment to include that we are an arts equity district.
All right, is there any other discussion? Can we have a second to the amendment that you would like to make?
I second amendment.
Okay, so are there any other questions? All in favor of the proclamation with noted amendments?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any? Okay, aye. Motion passed. Number 17C, approval of certificated and classified employees transactions, OE4-4. Can I get a motion to approve 17C?
I'll move that.
Can I get a second? Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did we get a second?
I thought we got a second.
Somebody second it?
All right, is there a second?
Can do the second. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
17D, approval of certificated and classified employee salary schedule, OE-5. Can I get a motion to approve 17D?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. 17E, adoption of resolution number 2025-26, notice to probationary 1 and 2 employees of non-reelection, OE-4.4. Can I get a motion to approve 17E?
I'll move it.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Adoption 17F, adoption of resolution number 2025-2026-25, classified layoffs, OE 4.4. Can I get a motion to approve 17F?
I move the motion.
Can I get a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, aye. 17G, adoption of resolution 2025-26-27, approving the mitigated negative declaration of adopting the mitigation monitoring program for the Bubbling Wells Modernization Project pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act and the California Education Code, approving the project and delegation of authority to staff to execute the notice of determination, OE 12.9. Can I get a motion to approve 17G?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. 17H, adoption of resolution number 2025-2026-28, board members absent from board meeting due to hardships. Can I get a motion to approve 17H?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
With one abstention, motion passed. Adoption of resolution number 2025-26-29, board members' absence from board meeting due to illness. Can I get a motion to approve 17I?
I move the motion.
Can I get a second? Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye.
I'll abstain.
And one abstention. Motion passed. 17J, approval to award RFP number 26-3, expanded learning seasonal camp services, OE 6-6.4. Can I get a motion to approve 17J?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions?
I have some comments.
Okay.
About 17J. In reflection and thinking about Mr. Arnold's presentation and our academic progress in the STAR and ELA math and past years of CASP scores, we see great needs. Not speaking the first person, I see great needs and a vision for a road that is involved and centered on academic improvement. And that would mean students thinking critically, like you all talked about, problem solving, aligned learning that builds analytical writing and problem solving skills, aligned curriculum that extends beyond the dismissal bell to increase academic achievement, aligned work and contracts and, I guess, lessons and planning that would give our students an enrichment program that would focus and support academic achievement and increase reading, writing, math, and college readiness. So with that background, and kind of like just saying what we've been talking about right now and in past years, it is my vision that we would change our ways of working with our students to offer more rigorous and, I think, programs that will produce more than some minimal or negative changes in achievement. And so those are my comments.
No, thank you. And so, right along with that, my comments, once again, is as a policy as well, what we believe in here at the district is equity, diversity, and equality. And so it's interwoven and tied into a lot that we do here at the district. And so I would like to see that exercised here in the expanded learning program. And currently at this time, I don't feel that that's being addressed.
I have a quick question. This is for 1 year? 1 year?
This RFP is for the spring and summer camps, I believe.
For 3 seasons.
Is
Spring,
it for just this year, or is it
summer,
for?
and winter.
It's for the spring, summer, and winter camps, and my understanding is that I'm looking at Celine right now for the number of years, just for her to clarify that. And Celine, will you please share a little bit or summarize the RFP that we just went through? Thank you.
Hello. So this is for an initial term of 1 year, which would be cover those 3 camps, and then we would evaluate the performance, in which case we have the option to extend for an additional 2 years at a total no more than 3 years for the contract, with the understanding that we are doing metrics every single year to make sure that whatever we ask them to do, they're actually performing. And to your credit, that yes, we are looking at metrics such as quality of education. Part of the evaluation, we couldn't put all the scorecards and every single detail in there. I can make that available to the board. However, one of the big things that we asked for was innovation, not just in quality of new experiences, but innovation as far as education. We reached out to multiple vendors that are basically, they're the experts in this field. We had about 15 vendors that came to our pre-bid meeting. We had a Q&A. We let them know what we're looking for. With, again, the focus of it was, when we created all of this, is we want to bring curriculum out of the classroom, but not do away with it entirely. So we did have some of that as part of our evaluation. It wasn't just, working with the community, although that was part of it. It wasn't just, providing new experiences and having fun, although, again, that is part of it. Student engagement is a big thing. We did want to emphasize things such as STEM, such as what is it that you actually do as far as bringing a classroom to a new setting.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So this is kind of like, it might happen. Is it set that this is going to be precisely accelerating achievement and ensuring that every child has this journey where they are succeeding and showing progress in a specific subject or area? Is there going to be, in other words, is there going to be data that shows that?
Well, I think I can't speak on the ELOP side of the curriculum, but what we've focused on this RFP was to provide an opportunity for multiple vendors to come and provide those services to us. One of the big unique things about PSUSD is that this isn't usually a project that's bid out. This is something that school districts usually select a vendor that they want to work with, and then they kind of run with it. That was one of the conversations that we had with the vendors, that a lot of the vendors had never even heard of a bidding process for this. So we did have sort of a step-by-step, this is what we're asking you to do, this is what we're asking you to provide. And their proposals had to reflect that what they brought to PSUSD isn't just like a regurgitation of what we currently have, but that they have something that can build on the programs that we currently have in the ELOP program, and at the same time provide something that's student engagement. Equity was a big issue. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't just one type of student that was engaged in the process. We also wanted to make sure that they brought something to every single student, regardless of skill set and regardless of their grade level.
Okay, it's my understanding that in the final group, there was 4 different companies that brought proposals.
Correct.
And in reviewing them and scoring them by a committee,
correct,
that this particular vendor was chosen, had the highest scores in all of these areas.
That is correct, yes.
That is correct. I think this is my opinion, that in the past, our parents and scholars of community have really supported our ELOP camps. The kids have enjoyed them. The parents have rave reviews about them. If the contract isn't approved tonight, my feeling is, how would we provide a spring and summer camps for our kids? I mean, do we really want to take those away from them? I mean, we're starting spring camp is going to be here within 2 weeks. And if we don't support this right now, and I'm not saying that your concerns are not valid and that we should not add them into future camps, but for right now, it's important that we do provide camps for our kids for the spring and for our summer. And I think that the particular company that was chosen, they have provided camps in the past that kids have enjoyed. The parents have enjoyed sending their kids there. And most importantly, we're in a time frame right now. But I do think that your concerns, we need to add them in the future and to make sure that the academics are really that's brought to the board of what exactly academics are there. And you want to address that?
Yeah, and if Dr. Gascoigne can come to the podium and just say a few words from that perspective. Thank you.
Quickly before she leaves, with the RFP, you said that the RFP has not been done with before.
So this is unique to PSUSD. For the most part, other districts simply select, and we do something called a sole source, which is, this is the only vendor that can provide it. We've tested out all the metrics, we tested out the geography, and so we are given that authority, which is what we've been doing for the past couple years. However, we understand that we don't know what's out there. There could be someone who has something better. They could be, new technology that we're not aware of, or another vendor that maybe can provide something that we're not aware of. So we did open it up, and we left it very vague. We didn't specifically say you have to provide a summer camp with A, B, C, D. We just said, these are what we're looking for. We're looking for educational metrics. We're looking for, do you have a presence out here, or are you bringing someone out? We're looking for how well have you been enmeshed into our community, or are you just showing up? And along with, how long have you been doing this? We didn't want anybody to come in here who didn't have the expertise to handle what we were asking them.
So this was the length of the contract. Since that's something that hasn't been done before, was it a reason for the longer length of the contract? And if we haven't done this before and a lot of districts don't do it, how do we come up with the idea of the contract?
Well, the thing is, we use a section of procurement law that governs services. especially specialized services. So specialized services, I believe it's 3 years tops that we can go out and have a company come in. We are not bound by that because, again, this is kind of like an exception, but we did want to give everybody the opportunity to say, this is a fair process. We gave everyone a fair shake. We looked at what was out there and we were responsible with the funds and decided that this is the best company for the project.
Celine, if I understand the contract, it's 1 year guaranteed, and then years 2 and 3 are our option?
Correct.
And just for you as well, with the comment of the, you've heard the conversation and what do we do now? This has kind of been brought up a couple of times, and has it been dealt with? Has it been considered? That seems to be something that is to be determined, because this has been brought up and has been mentioned plenty of times from this board. So, I mean, I understand that we don't want to have anything not prepared, but we have been asking. That's just.
Okay, so what are your exact concerns, and maybe they can be addressed? Are you talking about academics not being included, or what exactly?
I think I said exactly the way that I feel. And I've also mentioned plenty of times before where I stand on this. And so for me to go into details of explaining exactly, I have, if you go to the record, you see how I feel about it. I have expressed how I feel. So I feel like at this particular time, it's kind of redundant. Everyone kind of knows how I feel about this situation and how I feel. So that's my stance on it.
Thank you, Board President. If we can have Dr. Gascoigne come up and say a few words just on her perspectives about the contract. Thank
The
you.
RFP is simply for a small part of camp. The services that we're looking for do not plan camp. I just want to make sure that you understand that the planning piece of the day-to-day lessons that are done during camp are done by district staff. They follow district curriculum, they follow standards. So all of our ELA lessons are tied to grade level standards. All of our math lessons are using district curriculum. We partner with Irvine Math for developing all of our middle school lessons. Everything is very hands-on. Our science and STEAM lessons are all developed by our science and STEAM teachers. They align them with the field trips that we're going on. They look at all of those different components as well. They're using district standards, they're using the CASP assessment, they're preparing them for what is to come. So I don't want you to think that the RFP with this opportunity is the only piece that they're getting during camp. We're building an extensive program. So for spring camp, they have 5 days of instruction, and it's all classroom-based instruction. Even the cooking lessons with the company that we use are still all standards-based instruction. We have music coming in that's all standards-based instruction. So those are all things that we do to give our kids those lessons. And I would invite you to come and see what the lessons look like. You've got teachers from all of the schools coming from all different facets, all different grade levels, and providing instruction in small groups. I've got 2 certificated teachers in every room and at least 2 paraprofessionals. So there's at least 4 adults from our district in every classroom with no more than 25 students. So we encourage them to do all small group instruction. So in my opinion, this is targeted really intervention and enrichment for our kids to help fill in some of those gaps and gain their confidence in their academic abilities.
My question is, if we look at the past 3 years of gains, you're saying the ties to the standards and all the lessons, I understand. I've been the writer. I've been the person that wrote up the standards associated with field trips, curriculum. I know it from the ground up. If we're saying that this has contributed to increased student achievement, we are not seeing it. We are not seeing cooking lessons be the rigor of what students might need according to this is our own governing board policy. Students will think critically and apply higher order thinking and creativity, engaging productively in both independent and group research and inquiry. So maybe in STEM that's happening, but perhaps if you think about the whole picture, this is not evident. And I'll just have to say this to you. When I think about being a board member and how we do our business, I ask myself this question: how are we creating the learning that will increase math and ELA growth in percent of students meeting or exceeding standards? Period. Are we entertaining or are we educating? That's what I say to myself. And I say that because I've gone to a CSBA training, and this is what they planted in my head. Are we setting the foundation for what students need to be successful in academics? And so that is my angle, and that is where, for the last 3 years, and currently with Mr. Arnold's data, we are seeing this not coming to be. So, we see successful high schools or colleges, and what is it they have that we don't have in their academic programs? Debate, they have speech club, they have a number of writers clubs. Maybe we need to change what we're doing from cooking. And I understand we have to make it fun or we're not gonna have kids. But I understand too that we have to set that foundation for increasing achievement. And it's not happening with the way things with status quo. That's my comment.
And I appreciate your feedback, and I would counter to the point that some of these enrichment programs are giving kids the confidence in the classroom. We have so many parents that come to us and say thank you for what we are doing because it's giving their kid the ability to find friends and peers. If you think about the filmmaking program that we're doing with the middle schools, some of those were my students at Cabot Yerxa who didn't have a place to belong, and they finally found that place. And so if anything, I would say that having these enrichment opportunities is allowing our students to be successful. We may not see it on paper right now, but I do believe that it's gearing them towards wanting to be at school more often. It's building their confidence in the classroom, and I think that with time we will see those scores come up. There is no state evidence right now because we haven't dug into the expanded learning data. I don't have data for every kid that's ever attended program to say that they aren't that small percentage that is making that growth on our data. But that's something that the state is now requiring and pieces that we're going to be putting into place for this school year.
And Board President Cornett, I have a recommendation. As we look at our spring camps and the work that our educators are doing, we can all stop by. We can stop by the various school sites that house those different programs, take a look at them and see what our perspectives might be based on the work that they're doing, and continue to inform our decision making as a governing board to support our ELOP programs. That's the recommendation that I have, to continue to look at how we can continue to address some of those concerns that you've brought to our attention.
And also in visiting some of the courses that are offered, it's also a hands-on experience instead of just looking at the whiteboard or in a small group in a classroom. It's actually digging in and actually with their hands getting hands-on learning experiences.
Everything is hands-on. We don't use technology. Everything is engaging and interactive because we think that they're on a device pretty much a lot of times in the afternoons when they're at home. And so we want them to have those engaging conversations with one another and learn those skills as well, because those are equally as important with their success in the future. And giving them exposure to everything and anything that we can that might spark that light bulb and that sense of creativity in them to be successful.
And I think in the past, if you talk to parents and to our students who have attended these camps, it has sparked something. I mean, they want to come back, they want to do it again. And I don't think blaming ELOP for not increasing test scores is really fair. I mean, it's a part of the programs that we provide to our students, but students spend most of their time in the classroom learning. And so if we're going to, we're not blaming anybody. I think we all have to work together
Absolutely.
to increase student achievement. And I think this is one small part that plays a part in it. And hopefully it inspires kids because they do get that hands-on experience to really go back to the classroom and be more excited about learning.
And I'm
particular
grateful that we
concepts.
have district staff that's willing to do these programs, because if you
Yes.
hear from other districts, a lot of them are having to bring in outside organizations to run all of their programs. And so I'm truly grateful for the staff that we do have in the 400 plus people every single camp that want to come and give our kids that additional time and that additional instruction. And we know the value in building relationships. We have teachers that are high school teachers teaching middle school kids and now have that relationship with the kids when they come to their campus. Same with our fifth graders. They're getting to get a sense of familiarity with a middle school campus, meet middle school teachers. So instead of walking in timid on that first day of middle school, they have a familiar face that they already see. They know their counselors. So I think there's just so many pieces, and I hear you, Ms. Jarrell, and I'm not arguing with you on that. I just think that there's so many pieces that factor into the value behind this. And this RFP that you are agreeing to or disagreeing to today is one day of what spring camp looks like. It is not 5 days. This vendor does not provide any of the academic content that takes place on any of the other days. This is just one small piece of what we're doing.
May I ask, you talked about your student real quick. In years past, working with that student could not happen during the classroom day and or after the school day in extended after school programs. I'm just kind of
Abigail
making...
Johnson was the most timid little young lady that I've ever met. I could bring her here, and she is just a shining star on that screen.
Yeah.
She didn't have that confidence in elementary school. She didn't have that parental support to get into any programs. I didn't have programs at Cabot Yerkes that did that before school or after school. So this is giving her an opportunity to shine. And she's just one of the examples. If you're going to CCHS on Saturday, you'll see our newest color guard group that's there. These aren't kids that are participating in other programs. These are kids who are slowly but surely kind of dipping their fingers into some of these new opportunities and finding success, and also finding some new friends and things like that. And I think that that's a huge piece in academic growth as well.
More. We got to give them additional alternative learning opportunities out there, and to build citizenship and friendships and get to know how the system works. And cooking, you can learn fractions in cooking. I mean, you need to be able to weigh stuff out and know proportions and things like that if we're going to pick on cooking. I mean, there is learning that is involved in that. And I got to say, out of everybody in this district, I've only heard 2 people not support what you're doing. It is greatly supported out there. So you got everybody's support out there. I know that for sure.
Thank you.
I have two questions. The information that we received, one of those is Spring Camps 2026 anticipated proposal cost. This is under the trip category, the Tadros field trip.
Yes.
And I see another projected field trip for this year is a small trip or low cost, like the Railway Museum 2000.
So if I may,
this is the bigger trip that have.
it depends on how you define bigger. So I can tell you what we're doing for spring camp this year. So our TK and kindergarten kids will all be going over to the Children's Discovery Museum. So they'll spend about 3 hours there, in which they will also do a hands-on STEAM lesson. Our first, second, and third graders will all be going out to, thanks to Ms. Jarrell's recommendation, out to the Covered Wagons tour out in Thousand Palms. And so they will be doing 4 rotations out there, one of them about history, one of them there'll be gold panning. They'll get to actually ride the wagons and learn all of that. And then our 4th through 8th graders will be headed down to San Diego. We are visiting the Air and Space Museum, and then we are also, we've purchased tickets to go over to the Automotive Museum, and I'm paying for an additional hands-on lesson there that's on a STEAM lesson. So I would say those are our bigger trips. The proposal that you have in front of you today is for what is Kidchella. That's the spring camp event that we usually do, and that's our family event in which every student that comes to spring camp can bring one special adult out to the farm. We bus them out there. We provide food. We provide entertainment. Last year we had Scholastic Book there. We had a hands-on STEAM lesson. We had music, all using local vendors. Miss Jarrell was there our first year that we did Kidchella a couple years ago. She got to experience all of that. So like I said, this is just one small part of it. I could even go into details and tell you what we're doing for summer. Like I already have all of that planned out. So this is one small piece of it. This is not, I wouldn't say this is the big trip. It's costly because you're factoring in, he does all of the shirts and all of the merchandise and the things that I'm looking for, things that are making this event special and memorable for our students.
And so I want to go back to that comment that was made by Board Member Girardi. I'm not saying that I don't support things that go on in the ELOP program, but necessarily there's certain things inside of the program that I don't support. So to say that there's two people who don't support the program, that's absolutely not true and couldn't be the farthest from the truth. And so I just wanted to let everyone know that.
I appreciate that comment. I probably took what you were saying wrong. Okay. But I got it. It's a fantastic program. 400 students are showing up voluntarily?
Oh no, for spring camp we have just over 1,200 students enrolled.
Voluntarily?
Yeah.
I just want to encourage my fellow board members to go. It's been 3 years, maybe 6 years, and our cabinet and superintendent to go take the drive, go meet the parents, talk with the students,
Absolutely.
and you get firsthand experience.
You could come Monday morning, April 6th, 7:30, any of the campuses. You can help us do sign-in for the first day. You are all more than welcome to join the fun.
But I do have firsthand experience, and I see the flip or it's more of a transition or change needed to help our program, help our kids academically. And not to say there's no standards in learning and cooking. I've done it myself. But there is a great need that we see in our data and we see in our schools to change what we're doing and how we're doing it. And that's where I think the ELOP program could serve to really support students as more than on the social emotional side. Okay, thank you.
So what we're voting on here is the spring cab at the Taos Farm, and that's where it is the Kidchella.
Yes.
So it's okay, so it's
It'll
that.
be on Sunday, the 12th. Because of Coachella this year happening that weekend, it was easier for us to be able to use the property on Sunday.
So if this is not approved, that's what we would be taking away from kids and their families.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? We got a motion. We had a motion and a second. Thank you. Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
All opposed. So a 3-2 vote. It passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've had some really discussions tonight. Wow. 17K. Approval of comprehensive school safety plans for 2025-26. Can I get a motion to approve 17K?
Moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. 17L, approval of revision to board policy BP 5119, students expelled from other districts, OE-11. Can I get a motion to approve 17L?
I move the motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. 17M, approval of revision to board policy BP 1312.2, complaints concerning instructional materials. Can I get a motion to approve 17M? Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Approval 17HN, approval of revision to board policy BP 5144.0, 17.1, suspension and expulsion due process, OE-11. Can I get a motion to approve 17N?
I move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. 17O, approval of revision to board policy BP 6115, ceremonies and observations. Can I get a motion to approve 17O? Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. 17P, approval of modifications number 2 to agreement number CI009134, PSUSD number IN000209 between Palm Springs Unified School District and Riverside County Superintendent of Schools for the Student Behavioral Health Incentive Program, OE-5.2. Can I get a motion to approve 17P?
Move for approval.
Can I get a second? Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. 17Q, approval of CSBA Delegate Assembly Representatives for Subregion 18-A, Riverside, California, BC-2. The board has been approved with a ballot listing 8 candidates. We may select up to 6 delegates. Is there a motion for the board to elect up to 6 delegates from the submitted ballot? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Are there any questions?
We have to.
Yes, well, seeing there is no further discussion, we can proceed with the ballot that you've all been given. And we will hand those as soon as they're marked.
Please hand me your ballots, and then I will count them quickly. If
Okay,
you guys
to
want to
Ms.
take a
Borrego, you
5-minute
pass them down?
restroom break while I tally them.
Do we need to put our names on them?
You?
No.
No?
And I will tally them really quickly so we can read out the names if you guys want to take a restroom break while I tally, or if you're fine. Okay, let me tally them really quickly.
You know how fast you are. Right. Right?
Okay, the votes are in.
Okay, the votes have been tallied. The following candidates received at least 3 votes and are therefore elected as CSBA Delegate Assembly Representatives from Subregion 18A. We have Heidi, and her last name is pronounced, what is it? Oh, Dodd, I see, okay. And then we have Cynthia Navarro from Romaland. We have Stephen Schwartz from Temecula Valley. We have Ben Johnson from Riverside County Board of Education. We also have Linda Porras, Desert Sands Unified School District. And we have Melissa Williams. Thank you, everybody. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed, aye. 17R, approval of expulsion case 2025-26-26. Recommendations and findings of fact and conclusion of law, OE-11. Can I get a motion to approve 17R? Can I get a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. One vote. Consent items for superintendent's consent items 18A through 18I. Would anyone like to pull an item for discussion or review? Can I get a motion to approve superintendent's consent items 18A through 18I?
Move for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
18A. We did that through 18I. Okay, 19, information item 19I. The board has received and reviewed the information. It is the early Head Start and Head Start reports for requirements for Head Start Act for November and December. Suggestions for future agendas. Do any board members have any suggestions for future agendas?
Not an agenda, board meeting agenda, but maybe when Mark comes back with the next STAR data or whatever data we get, we do it in a study session so we could have more of a dialogue back and forth. Thanks. If it's okay.
Yeah.
21, setting of the next board meeting. Our regular board meeting will be held on March 10th, 2026 at 6 p.m. 22, debrief. Does anybody have anything else to say tonight? Since we were so talkative, anything else?
Yes, so we'll have Dr. Killian to come back March 10th, but we'll also put it in the Friday report before that. She was already working on it out there.
Item 23, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move for approval.
All those in favor?